morning. Good morning, Ma.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much. Good morning, Tommy. Good morning, Tara. Good morning, Mr. Fajimi.
Good morning.
I think I should be addressed as Abiola. Very simple.
Okay, noted, sir.
Just give me a few minutes. I'm trying to just sort out one or two things from my end.
No problem, sir. You can just mute. Yes, thank you.
All right, so I'm here fully now. I'm ready. Okay, good morning once more. Are we live? Oh, okay.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to the Business Sustainability and Succession Planning webinar session today. We are pleased to have you on board this session. I would like to use the next 1 minute to hear from our attendees. I would like our attendees to post in the chat room their current location and their business sector. I would like our attendees to let us know where they're joining us from within the next 1 minute and their current business sector. Thank you. Fantastic. I can see we have people from across different sectors and within and outside Lagos, and even far as wide and far and wide, even abroad, UK, US. Thank you all. Welcome again to this webinar session. It promises to be insightful and transformational. My name is Taiwo Olaniyo, and I head the Business Support Unit at the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund. These webinar series are very important to us at the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund because it aligns with our core mandate, which is to help prepare Lagos State residents for employment opportunities, as well as provide the requisite skills for our business owners to be able to grow and scale. Welcome again, everyone, and we appreciate your presence, and we know you're going to have a wonderful experience here. We have 3 amazing speakers who will be touching on various aspects of business sustainability and succession planning, especially how to build empires that would outlive you even after so many years. I would like to take a backseat now and introduce the Director of Programs and Coordination at the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund. Shall we welcome Ms. Omolara Akinwumi? Thank you.
Hello. Hello, good morning, everyone. Good morning and welcome to today's session. We're pleased to welcome you to today's webinar session of Business Sustainability and Succession Planning. This is our 2nd edition of the business series. I mean, this is due to the success of the first one. Everyone was so excited, and we've come back due to high demand, and we're hoping that we believe that this will be a successful one again. At LSETF, we recognize that over 80% of jobs created nationally are created by MSMEs. Hence, our core mandate and strategic objective is to support micro, small, and medium-sized business like yours through our various programs to become more productive, viable, and just successful. And we have 3 amazing speakers today, as my colleague has said. And we believe that they will use with their experience, they'll be sharing their experience and lifelong lessons on how to keep your business brand alive, even after so many years. I will be privileged to be introducing our first speaker, Mrs. Tara Fela Durotoye. So I'll give a bio of Mrs. Tara Fella-Dutoye briefly. Mrs. Tara Fella-Dutoye is a beauty entrepreneur who has pioneered the professional makeup industry in Nigeria, who pioneered the professional makeup industry in Nigeria in the late 90s. She's the founder and current CEO of House of Tara International. She's considered a major force in the Nigerian female entrepreneurship community, having created an impact business that empowered tens of thousands of beauty entrepreneurs through the Tara Beauty Entrepreneur Initiative. She continues to be a thought leader and major influencer through several in classroom and online courses that focus on sharing her 20+ years of experience with other budding entrepreneurs, which makes her even perfect for today's talk. 20+ years experience is not a joke, especially in today's economy. As a game changer in Nigerian business, Tara has served as a powerful role model for women in business and has worked as an advocate for creating awareness of the importance of building businesses that positively impact society. She's a huge advocate of impact entrepreneurship and is considered poster girl for female entrepreneurship in West Africa. Under her leadership, House of Tara made one of Joberman's best 100 companies to work in Nigeria in 2017 and continues to be considered the #1 indigenous makeup brand for Nigerian women. That deserves a round of applause. She has received several national and international awards for her contribution to the industry and active role in entrepreneurship and empowerment. The most outstanding businesswoman of the year 2018 by the African Economy Builders Award Abidjan. Also 2018, Tara received the African Makeup Loan by Ghana Makeup Awards, as well as the Leadership Awards for Entrepreneurship by Harvard Business School Association of Nigeria. And the most recent in 2019, the Award of Excellence for Social Impact and Job Creation, a national recognition by the Vice President of Nigeria. In 2013, she was Forbes' list of 20 young power women in Africa. And more recently, in 2020, she topped 50 Africa's most powerful women alongside the President of Ethiopia, Chairman of First Bank, Mrs. Boko Awosika, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, Chimamanda Adichie. These are great women, Lupita Nyong'o, and amongst others. She's an alumnus of Lagos Business School Chief Executive Program, INSEAD, Abu Dhabi, Yale University, the Stanford Seed Transformation Program, and the Harvard Kennedy School, having completed the Global Leadership and Public Policy in the 21st century. She's a member of France-Nigerian Investment Club, which was incorporated in 2018 by the French President Emmanuel Macron. She serves on several boards, which include Bridge International Academics, So Fresh Neighborhood, and African Women Entrepreneurship Cooperative, New York. She's an associate member of Women in Management and Business, popularly known as WIMBIZ. She was recognized by the World Economic Forum as the Young Global Leader 2013, Chaucer Institute of France Top 100 Young African Business Leaders under 40 2014. Tara enjoys gardening and loves experiencing new cultures and meeting new people. She's happily married to Mr. Fella-Dutoye and is blessed with 3 sons. So let's give it up for Mrs. After all of this that we've said, I'm sure we can't wait to learn from years and years of experience. Without further ado, I would introduce Mrs. Tara Fella-Dutoye at this point. Thank you very much. Thank you for taking time out to be with us today and to share your experience with our beneficiaries. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Omolara and Taiwo from the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund. I appreciate that introduction. Thank you all the participants who are joining in and my co-speakers, Abiola Fajimi and Tomi Utudeko. Always excited to share my experience and my learnings, because I'm a product of mentorship, I'm a product of learning, I'm a product of adopting lessons from others. And I think that we don't have enough stories in Nigeria and in Africa as a whole of entrepreneurs who are creating, but also impacting. Many times we don't know their stories. We don't know how they started. We don't know what they have applied to bring themselves to where they are. My journey is a journey of over 20 years. I started as a bridal makeup artist in Nigeria with 15,000 naira. I like to always emphasize that I started with 15,000 naira because there are some people who are going to be on the call who are starting up their businesses in Lagos and they cannot believe. They can't even see what the possibilities are. And I think it's the responsibility of those who have gone ahead, whether you've done 10, 15, 20 years, 30 years, to always give people the opportunity to hear your story and therefore be inspired to take one step further. That has been my experience. I've been surrounded by entrepreneurs in the country, entrepreneurs who have had access to, some known, some unknown, but people who have stayed the course. And because they've stayed the course, I have been inspired to continue to stay the course. So I'm really here today to share from my experience because I think it's very, very important. Good morning, everyone. If you can hear me, please let me know by raising up your hand in the chat room. If you're excited to be here, let me know by putting up your hand in the chat room. Thank you, lovely. Thank you very, very much. Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, Stephanie Obi, for being here. One of the reasons why, for me, the topic and the subject around sustainability and succession planning is important. Thank you. Aha, I want to see your excitement in the room. Please, let's see it. Let's see it in the chat room. Thank you very, very much. I want to know that you're present and that you can hear me very well. Wonderful, Elizabeth. It's lovely to see you on here. I can see my people. Wonderful, fantastic. Thank you. Thank you very much. As a little girl, I was very fascinated with brands. I was very fascinated with logos. I was very fascinated with businesses. I was just curious. I was aware, I was observant. And I remember such brands as Tandy Guarana. I don't know how many of you are here old enough to know the brand called Tandy Guarana. Is anyone that knows Tandy Guarana? Tandy Guarana was a soft drinks company. They had a head office on Oshodi Expressway. And they used to deliver crates of drinks to our homes at the weekend. And I think there was a structure where maybe our parents paid for the soft drinks and they delivered. So they delivered and we loved the drink. It was an interesting drink. I remember the advert, Tandy Guarana on TV, right? And when the advert is going on, somebody said it was sold for 25 naira. And the children would just start dancing and dancing. And we used to have it and drink on Sundays after you've eaten your rice. Rice was a delicacy at the time, not like today where you eat rice every day, right? Then white rice and stew was a standard Sunday meal. And you had it with Tandy Guarana. I remember that brand. But I'm curious to ask everyone here today, where is Tandy Guarana? It tasted like apple. It was like an apple drink, maybe like a Lacasera, something like of that sort. Maybe not as fizzy as Lacasera. That's one brand that disappeared. We didn't see it anymore. I think about another brand that comes to mind. My father used to be an avid reader of newspapers. So every day at, I think, 6 o'clock, newspapers were delivered to our home. And there would be a pile of them. There was Tribune, there was Sketch, there was Punch, there was Guardian. There wasn't This Day at the time. So Guardian, Tribune, Punch, Sketch newspaper, Champions newspaper. And there was also Concord newspaper. It was a green logo, right? And I don't know how many of you here, Daily Times was also there, right? I don't know how many of you remember Concord newspapers. And the logo was green. I remember it very, very clearly. I'm 44 years old. So those were the newspapers and the brands that we were conversant with, right? And guess what? Where is Concord today? Sometimes I see, there was even Concord Airlines. Sometimes I still see a sign, an old sign somewhere that is faded, but it was a company that once existed in Nigeria. Another company I think about is, as a child, I used to live in Ikoyi, and walking on the streets in Ikoyi, they had all these malams that sold biscuits, and they were not international brands. All the biscuits that were sold were Nigerian brands, and there was a very famous one called Okin Biscuits. They had the Coaster and they had the shortbread or shortcake. Both were local Nigerian brands. I think Okin was actually from Kwara State. It was made in a factory in Offa, around Offa area in Kwara State. And this biscuit was my favorite. I remember the shortcake that had only 4 in it. When you finish eating it, you wanted more. You always wanted more. Today, that brand hardly exists in Nigeria. It was my best biscuits at the time. I loved it. I remember my friend Tiwa and I always struggling, right? Because you buy one, then you have to split it 2-2, right? And these were brands. I was very fascinated at those brands and many more. Continental Cosmetics, Kessin Sheen. I don't know how many of you remember Kessin Sheen as a brand, a hair care brand. These were brands that existed. They were here, they were thriving, they were growing, but they disappeared. And I've always wondered what happened to those brands. It breaks my heart to see that. But guess what fascinates me? Is that you now go to the US and you look at a brand like Walmart, that is the fourth CEO, right, of that company, or 5th or 6th CEO of that company, founded by Sam Walton. Sam Walton is long gone, but here he is, right? We see brands like Ralph Lauren, right? And then very interesting that some of those American brands like Pizza Hut, when you put them against these same Nigerian brands, many of them started around the same time, but they no longer exist. Of course, there are many external factors. So when I think about the Odutola brothers, who were massive manufacturers, and they used to import, produce and manufacture bicycles in Nigeria, they had a massive palm farm where they were bringing out rubber to create tires and exporting to other African countries. You would think about the fact that, of course, sometimes government policies are what kills some of these businesses, but not all of them is based on government policies. Not all of them is an external force. Many times, it's actually how we manage those businesses that determine whether they outlive us or not. I've sat in business school and we've looked at case studies of Nigerian businesses, and consistently we've seen poor management as one of the reasons why many of those businesses do not outlive their founders. So as a young entrepreneur, I decided I didn't want a business that was just going to end when I pass, that was going to end if I was no longer interested. I wanted a business that was not built around me as a person, that the engine of the business was built around systems and structure. And I became a champion for that. Speaking to entrepreneurs, starting my own masterclasses to try and get entrepreneurs to begin to think that way and become more focused. I had a chat with the Executive Secretary of Lagos State Employment Trust Fund. And in the chat, we started to analyze how many businesses in Nigeria are moving from small from micro to small, and then from small to medium. We're not seeing enough of those businesses moving, transiting from small to medium. Sometimes they move from small to micro to small, but we're not seeing enough of them moving to medium. Medium scale, where you are now beginning to employ over 200 people within your organization. And guess what? As Omolara said earlier on, we are the ones who make the chunk of the employment. And so if the small businesses do not grow to become micro, or the micro do not grow to become medium, and the micro businesses don't grow to become small, the issue around unemployment will continue to exist in Nigeria. And it's a charge for us. It's a clarion call for us as entrepreneurs to stand up and rise up to the occasion of building our business in such a way that we're leaving a legacy, not just for our country, but even for our families in the long term. And that is what I'm here for. I'm here to say, how can you become the next Polo Ralph Lauren? How can you become the next Pizza Hut? How can you become the next IBTC, Stanbic IBTC that's over 30 years? How can you become the next Chess Center that's over 30 years? These are Nigerian brands that have done 30 years. I am still at 23 years. I'm looking forward to 30 years. I'm looking forward to 40 years, looking forward to 50, 60, 70 years. And I want to hear the same about your brands. So our last conversation, the last masterclass, that was focused around finances, managing money within your businesses, and strategy. Today, we're going to now focus on human resource. And I would use my story, this House of Tara story, as the case study. I'm going to identify 5 things that were challenges that I experienced and what I put in place to fix them. Because guess what? There will be no business that will outlive their founder if we do not invest in the people, if we do not invest in talent. It's going to take talent. I recall a very famous Nigerian entrepreneur. I had the case study done. The case study was one of the cases that we addressed at the Lagos Business School. And apparently the man was ill. And when he was ill, he still took the keys to his factory with him, right, to the operation bed. At the operation bed, he died. He didn't come back. And what happened to that business is a story for another day. And so sometimes the reason why we can't do that, we can't hand over to people, because we don't trust people. We don't trust people because they haven't shown themselves to be competent. Am I right? They haven't shown themselves to be competent consistently. And therefore, because of that reason, we're not willing to not only just invest, but also to carry them along on our business journey. And I've sat with entrepreneurs many times, and when we talk about all the problems, and every problem that we talk about rises and falls on our employees. Do you agree? Everyone talks about, it's the employees, it's the employees, and the employees. But I beg to differ today and to say that if we want to see change in our businesses, we, the business owners, have to change. I don't know how many of you are, if you are here and you are in the business space and you've been here for less than 5 years, can I see you raise up your hand? You've been here for less than 5 years. Can I see you raise up your hand if you've been around for less than 5 years? Less than 5 years. Okay, wonderful. Oh, there's so many people that are, okay, wonderful. Been around for less than 5 years, okay? Great, less than 5 years, okay. I put it to you that you're going to make it to 20 years. You're going to make it to 20 years, you're going to make it to 30 years. Just believe, okay? And be ready to put in the work. As I share some of the stories, I want you to take your pen and your paper and write the things that you're going to change, the things that you need to change. And there's some things that you're already doing. I want you to write them down, the things that you're already doing. And I also want you to write the things that you're going to stop doing, okay? The things you're going to stop doing. So the things you're going to start doing, the things you're going to stop doing, and the things you're going to continue to do as I share my story. One of the challenges I faced, and I'll explain what my business is for those who do not know. I don't want to assume that everyone knows what House of Tara does. So I started House of Tara as an undergraduate doing makeup, bridal makeup artist, going from house to house on Saturdays to make up anyone who was getting married for their wedding. At the time, that business didn't exist in Nigeria. I was a pioneer in it. And in doing so, I started this whole industry of making brides up for their weddings. And I remember at that time, this was novel, it was new, it was unusual. And sometimes you hear people didn't think that they should pay for it. It wasn't something they should pay for it. But as time went on with consistency, it became a real business. And today it's an entire industry that it also didn't exist. If you have a conversation with someone who was married 30 years ago, there were no professional makeup artists to do their makeup. Their auntie did the makeup, auntie tied the gele, mother put the lipstick on, sister tied the gele. This was the standard, right? But today, there's hardly any bride, even deeper life bride, will still have a makeup artist to do their makeup on their wedding day. And so from starting up that makeup business with 15,000 Naira and consistently showing up at my brides' homes over and over again, I began to see more opportunities that existed, that were needs that my customers had, that as they had those needs, I started to create products, more products to satisfy those needs. And that's how, from bridal makeup artistry, I went into creating my first makeup brushes, which became our product that we're selling to people who were training as makeup artists, but also went into an entire line of makeup products, lipsticks, foundations, powders, eyeshadows, boxes, brushes, the entire range of makeup products. We started an entire range of makeup products, as well as having the service business being done. But as we started manufacturing our own product, we had to begin to think about distribution. How do we make sure the products are available, people can find it, people can buy it? And the distribution, we started responding by selling the products yet in our own retail store, and then expanding across the country in multiple retail stores and locations. So we have locations in Lagos, we have locations outside of Lagos, Ibadan, Port Harcourt, Uyo, Abuja. We have multiple locations in Abuja. We have in Kano, we have in Kaduna, we have in Asaba, we have in Enugu, and in different parts of the country. That was one of the things that we started to do to distribute our product. But I think what was also more significant was recruiting and empowering young women and giving them a product line that they could make money off and then sell. This is makeup or something that young women like and still like to do. Can you hear me? Can everybody hear? If you can hear me, let me see you. Okay, thank you, Tomi. And products that people wanted to buy. So we eventually now created a distribution channel, right? Through a beauty representative model. We went into university campuses and recruited sales ladies. I'm sure there'll be one or two here who have sold Tara products at some point, maybe when they were in university, when they started working to earn an extra income. And that entire business blew up, and then our product was now being distributed in different nooks and crannies of Nigeria. And at the end of the day, we started to see the product even selling outside of Nigeria. And that was how we started to distribute. So we now developed a distribution channel through what we call door-to-door distribution, and then through our retail stores. Today, our retail store constitutes about 50% of our revenue. We've also expanded into having our own franchise stores, so people buy our franchise and open franchise stores in Nigeria using the House of Tara name. We've grown the business to also training of makeup artists. So we have centers for training people to become makeup artists. We have a collaboration with Lagos State, for example, to train makeup artists in the city, right? And we're seeing that begin to expand even to also other states within Nigeria. So my charge to us is this is how that business started, by me doing a bride's makeup, one bride's makeup, another bride's makeup, and then we moved from there to retailing, to manufacturing our own line of product, to distribution channel. And L'Oreal came into Nigeria and wanted their products to be distributed, and they came to us because we then have a distribution channel that they can leverage on. So that's the business for those who don't know, who don't know as much about the business. And I wanted to say that to you so that you could see that I started from very, very humble beginnings. I was the only employee. My first employee was my sister, my younger sister. My third employee was my sister. So you can see I kept it in the family because I couldn't afford to go outside of the family, right? And as the business began to grow, we've grown beyond 200 employees. You can see the number of retail stores and the size of the business today. That can only happen because we put things in place that helps. And that's why I want to share those lessons with you. So in growing the business, the question was, what were the challenges I faced as an entrepreneur who was employing people? You're talking about starting as a makeup artist, one box, and then you've now expanded and you began to open retail stores across, and you live in Lagos. How were you able to sustain that kind of growth where you have branches outside of where you are seated? Today, I'm seated in an office. I'm not in any retail store, but retail stores are being opened across the country. Today, that is a House of Tara store. You can wake up today and say, I want to go to a House of Tara store location in Asaba, and you would find one and the doors will be opened and Tara is not there. This is not something that is usual, and that's why I want to share. But the question was, what were the challenges I faced? When I first opened my first store in Victoria Island, and I employed my first staff, one of the things I found out was they didn't stay. 1 month, people would go, come and work. After 1 month, they would go. 2 months, 3 months. And every time they left, I was shattered. I was brokenhearted. How many of you are entrepreneurs here? When people leave your business, you are shattered and your heart is broken. Please let me see you in the chat room, right? And why was my heart broken? My heart was broken because, yet again, I'm going to start all over again. I have to find somebody else. And it became a strain for me. And then exactly, right? And these were the things I was experiencing. You employ someone, they work, 3 months after they leave, and when you ask them, sometimes you see them, oh, they've got a job in a bank. And you'd be like, wow, I've gotten a job every time they say they've got a job in a bank, they got a job and the question I asked myself was, why is it that somebody will leave? Why are they leaving? Why? And sometimes later on you have a conversation with them, and then you hear, you guys can relate, it was painful. And I saw that as a problem. There was those constant exits and people who were not staying long. They were not staying long enough. The other problem I had was I was the only initiator. Somebody said her staff just left in August. Yes, we're going to talk about that, right? And why people leave. And I found that I was the only driver and I was the only initiator. So I would come up with the ideas, then I would be the one who would run with the ideas. And at some point I felt so burdened because nobody else was pushing the same way I was pushing. I felt like all the burden was on me, right? I also noticed that there was a lack of enthusiasm. So somebody can just come to the office. They're the ones that are supposed to open the studio. They don't show up on the day that they're supposed to resume. You call them. I think at that time there were no phones. Were they phones? I'm not even sure they were phones. So if somebody doesn't show up, then there's nothing you can do, right? Or you just have to wait, or you break the door. And we had situations where somebody said, oh, I'm no longer working, right? And they decide they're not working one day and they don't come the next day. And guess what? The store key is with you. The store is not going to be open the next day simply because you've left. These are some of the challenges I was having. I also had challenges around how do I even, when people behave badly, right? What are the consequence management systems that I could put in place? At the time, the only thing I knew to do was to shout, to scream, to raise my voice, to be angry was the only thing I knew to do. I didn't even know that there was any other way apart from sacking someone. But I didn't want to sack them. So how is it that when they do something wrong, I can't sack them, but they will do it again? And I was frustrated. If you're having this sort of issues right now, please let me know so that you know that I'm speaking to people who get what I'm saying and understand that it's a true challenge that they have, right? So if somebody does something badly, what do I do? I can't sack them because I need them to be here. So, and the quality of staff. So you employ people and you ask questions and they can't answer, they can't contribute, they don't have anything to say. And the more that was happening, they're staying with you long enough. And still, you're like, how is the reasoning? Why is this person reasoning this way? Why can't they? What is going on? And that frustration increases over time. And your stress levels as a Nigerian entrepreneur begins to increase more and more. After a while, they leave. Sometimes they leave for 10,000. One time they leave for 5,000 naira, but they leave you and you are shattered. And for me, I knew there was a problem and this problem needed to be solved. I asked myself, why is it that people will be in Chevron and they work in Chevron and they work there for 15 years, 20 years? Why is it that they work in a bank and they work there for, at least then, they work there for 5 years, or they still work within the banking industry, 10 years, 15 years? Why can't they work for House of Tara? These were the questions I began to ask myself. And what lessons did I learn that I then fixed? What's my experience? You heard from when they read out my bio. And in the bio, the lady said House of Tara was listed as one of the top 100 best places to work in Nigeria. Now, those sort of ratings do not come from me. They come from engaging House of Tara employees and getting their feedback. So I sat in my office one day and I got it was actually posted online. And somebody reached out to me to say, guess what? I just saw that House of Tara was on the list of best top 100 places to work for in Nigeria. At this time, I didn't even know that they had even done anything. But somehow, Jobberman has a way of checking these things and creating their own these rating systems. And for me, being a best place to work was evidence that I had transitioned. The House of Tara had transitioned and we had made progress. It meant that the employees at House of Tara were now saying that the company was a best place to work. How do we move from a company where people didn't stay for 1 month, didn't stay for 2 months, sometimes 1 year, to this place? There was a moment in time where I was looking for a general manager. And I went to, the business had grown, we started our own product line, we started to have supply chain challenges. I knew that we needed somebody who could sit in and oversee the operations of the business. So I was looking for a general manager. I went to LBS to look for someone from the MBA class. And I remember someone saying to me, can you pay him And I asked, how much does he want to earn? And the person told me, and I knew that we could pay that money. But the question was, there was something about House of Tara that made this person feel that House of Tara couldn't pay that amount, number one. So sometimes you may have a business and you may be able to afford to pay people the amount that they need. But because your business is positioned a certain way, it is not attractive. That's why we want to talk about attracting people. And so I eventually contacted the young man. We interviewed him. He started working with us. He worked with us for over a year, and he put in a lot of processes. He was responsible for building our first franchise agreement, right? And facilitating for our first franchise to be opened in Ibadan. Fantastic guy. But guess what? He didn't stay more than a year. And that one was devastating because we could pay, right? We paid him, but it was not enough. When eventually I found out there were issues around his wife, when people ask his wife, where does your husband work? And you say, after going to LBS, you're not working that makeup. You're working for that girl, that makeup girl. And so there was something about the business that gave the impression that it was a one-man business. And guess what? Employees don't want to work for a one-man business. One-man business means many things. Number one, it means that there are no policies. That whatever the owner of the business wants to do is what they do. They don't have a set of rules. They don't have a set of guidelines that determines how things are done. There's no structure. There's no predictability. Okay, I was in business school, and the facilitator walks into the class. And as she walked into the class, she said, I cannot work for any of you in this room. And she repeated it over and over again. This was a room of entrepreneurs who were generating a minimum of 500 million in the room. And she said she cannot work for any of us. And she repeated it over and over again. And what do we ask? And we eventually said, do you want to know why? And we said, why? And she told us the reason why I would never work for any of you is because you are all a one-man business. She had asked some other questions before that made her come to that conclusion. And in looking at this, what she was basically saying is, because the business is all about you, I don't see a future for myself within your business, and therefore I cannot work with you. And so I had to begin to look at what are the things that make people feel secure. And it is structure. It's structure around employment letters. How many of you have employed someone and not given them an employment letter? I did it. That was some of the things I did at the early stages. By not giving an employment letter, what you are basically saying is, you're basically saying, whatever will be, will be. How many of you sack people? You just wake up in the morning and somebody does something, and on the phone you tell them they are sacked. How many? I did it. I will tell somebody you're sacked, and that minute you are sacked. Guess what? You cannot work in a bank and your manager will tell you you are sacked and you are gone. These are the things that small one-man business do. And guess what? Being a structured business does not necessarily mean you have to be a large corporation. What it is about the systems that you put in place. So let me bring it down to another level. If you cook your mother's rice and stew, the way she cooks her rice and stew, you have the recipe. Whether you cook small or you cook a big pot, it still tastes the same because the recipe is the same. Am I correct? The recipe doesn't change. If you cook for 30 people, it still tastes the same way your mom's jollof rice tastes. If you cook for only yourself, it still tastes the same way your mom's jollof rice tastes. And that is my point to you, is that even if you choose not to build a big company of 10,000 people, but you institute systems in place and policies in place and structure in place, it gives the employees a sense of comfort, reassurance, and they know that things are going to be done properly. Can you all hear me? And so when people say they are leaving your company and they cannot work for you, what they're busy and they're going to work in a bank, what they're saying to you is, I'm leaving you because there is no structure here. There is no predictability, right? When you don't pay your salaries on time, right? You pay, when you work in a structured organization, people can tell you what day salaries are going to be paid. And that day is when salaries are paid. But when you pay today, 5th of August, tomorrow, 30th of July, next tomorrow, 15th, another day, 20th, there is no consistency. Those consistency and predictability is what gives people a sense of comfort. And so I had these challenges that I was unpredictable. I could sack somebody at any time. That gave people a sense of discomfort. And that sense of discomfort, they were looking for it in somewhere else. So I may not like banking, but I like makeup, but makeup does not. The makeup company that is here today is not the kind of company I want to work for. So I needed to change that. And so if you see the transition, what were the things that I did? Number one, I now gave everyone an employment letter, right? And became clear as to what time they should resume, what time they close. These are small things. For those of you who are still small, at a small level, please pay attention to these little things. They make a world of difference. Sometimes you hear a small entrepreneur say, I called my staff, and when I called them, I said, what are you doing? They said nothing. And I was angry. And you hear entrepreneurs say that. The reason why they can say nothing is because they don't even have a job description, right? You've employed somebody came to you and said, oh, I need a staff. I'm looking for a staff. You say to someone, I'm looking for a staff. They bring somebody random. Whether they have the skill set to do the job that you want them to do, you do not know, but you employ them and you keep them in your shop, right? And then you say the person does not know what they're doing. But guess what? You have employed the person, you don't even know whether they have the skill set. So if you have the job role, the job that you're trying to employ for, sit down and ask yourself as a small business owner, who is the person that will be right for this work? What skills do they need to have? So for us, initially, you'd employ somebody and you put them in a retail store, and the person doesn't smile. Retail stores require warmth. The customers need retail. When you're talking about retail, you're talking about giving customers an experience. Unfortunately, we're not employing with that in mind. So you employ somebody who's moody, for example, somebody who doesn't have a smiling face, and you put them in a retail store. It doesn't help your customers to feel comfortable. Then you employ and you do not train. So I would say to you, number one, make sure that everyone who works for you, you give them a letter of employment, right? Number two, every role that you're recruiting for, ask yourself, what skill set does this person need to have for them to do this job well? Put it down in writing. Three, when they join your business, listen, do what you call an induction. Induction is just basically to tell the person what your business is about, what you want them to do, where the future of your business is going. You have to communicate, you have to converse. I don't know how many of you heard about some viral information recently, over the weekend, where there's a new king that came, King of Warri. And for some reason, people are excited about this new King of Warri because they listened to his speech. That is the power of communication, when you are able to communicate. And so as business owners, you need to know, where am I? Where do I want to be? If anyone is joining my business, let's say that person is your child, how will they feel a part of that business? How will they feel a part of that business? By your conversation, you get the buy-in of the heart of the people who you're employing. Fourthly, remember that people need to be paid a salary. Everyone needs to be paid for their service. Never think that, because they are here, they should be okay. If you are paying them a stipend, make sure that it is structured. Even if they type stipend, make sure that it is structured, it is consistent. What you're paying is structured and it is consistent. People want to know that they are being rewarded for the time they are spending. Have that behind your mind. I would also say to you, apart from paying a salary, begin to think about ways that people will be trained consistently. I said earlier on, sometimes one of the challenges I had was I felt that the quality of the people was very poor. But the question was, for me, what am I doing to develop the people? So developing is very, very important. And one of the things, when I talk about developing, someone say, it's expensive to train. Yes, the knowledge that you have as an entrepreneur is enough for you to train your people. The knowledge that you have about your business is enough. You don't necessarily need to employ somebody else, but take the time to train any new employee yourself, especially if your business is still at a small stage. I did it. I still do it. I still train till now. I train on things that, for example, I feel like needs to be emphasized within the business. Sometimes people need to hear my voice. Even if we now have an external facilitator, I still come on. Why? Because everything rises and falls on leadership. Everything rises and falls on leadership. And your posture as a leader, as the owner of the business, as the founder of the business, determines how people respond to your business. So I want you to take an acronym with you called RADAR. 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 And what is RADAR? Can I see it in the chat room? RADAR, please put it in the chat room. RADAR, RADAR. So I can know that you are here. Okay, wonderful. I put this down. I was trying to communicate how we became a best place to work in Nigeria. And I began to ask myself, what are the things that we did at House of Tara? Remember, I have talked about the challenges that I experienced as an entrepreneur. So you know that we're on the same page. I experienced it. Many of those challenges I don't experience anymore. Nobody resigns overnight and doesn't come to work the next day. It doesn't happen anymore, right? Nobody locks the shop and takes the key home and does not show up. It doesn't happen anymore. But why doesn't it happen anymore? It is the consistent policies that we've put in place. It's the system that we have put in place to make that happen. So R stands for recognize. Recognize. Please put it down, recognize. A stands for attract. A stands for attract. D stands for develop. D stands for develop. Another A stands for activate. Another A stands for activate. And the R stands for reward. The R stands for reward. So recognize, attract, develop, activate, and reward. Recognize, attract, develop, activate, and reward. What was one of the things that I did? At the time I made this decision, we were a company of maybe 12, 13 people. I asked myself, people leave because they don't feel at home here. First of all, they don't even feel at home. That's why they leave after 1 month. What do I need to change as a person that will make this environment more conducive for people to stay? I had to change something. And what was it? I realized that I had the capacity to bring an energy to the space where I am. If you have 10 employees, that's still a small group. What energy do you bring into the space? Do you bring a positive energy to the space? Because energy is very powerful. Energy is spiritual. It makes people feel excited and enthusiastic. If you are not enthusiastic, people cannot feel enthusiastic about the business. So the spirit, the energy that you bring into the office on a day-to-day basis will determine. And so I asked myself, I wanted an environment where a certain type of person, somebody who loved family life meaning they want to be a part of a family, people who were driven, people who were enthusiastic, people who wanted to empower, people who cared. And so I asked myself these questions and I said, how do I find out people who care based on my interview? So don't employ anybody in a hurry. Make sure that when you are employing, you are putting the word out for multiple people to come and multiple options to come. For those multiple options to come, you have to first of all set up who is the House of Tara person. What describes the House of Tara person? So ask yourself, what is the LSCTF person? Who is the Honeywell person? These are the characteristics that define that person. This is the kind of culture I want the company to have. And the culture is based on your values. Ask yourself, as a person, empowerment is an important value for me as a person. You identify what your values are. Empowerment may not be your values, right? But excellence, you cannot allow anything to go on without looking at the detail. That's who you are. If that's who you are, let that become one of your values. Communicate it to anyone who you employ to say, these are the things that I find valuable, right? For me, superior customer service, serving people. I'm a service person. I like to serve. That is why I'm doing what I'm doing, because I like to serve. Now, as a person who likes to serve, you may not like to serve, or you may like something else, or you must find what it is that you like personally as a value to you. So because I like service, I was certain that from when I started my business, I always gave impeccable service. Today, if you walk into any House of Tara store, they will greet you the same way. Everyone is trained to greet with a smile on their face. They are obligated to greet with a ring in their voice. When they pick up the phone, when they attend to a customer, it is the same. We start by saying, when people walk into the store, you say, welcome to House of Tara. Anytime you go to a House of Tara store, that is how you are greeted. We say with a warm sound in your voice. That's how the training goes. It says, with a warm sound in your voice, say, welcome to House of Tara. It's the same way when you pick up the phone and you call a House of Tara store. The same warmth in the voice is what you hear. That is the standard. So you now need to decide, what are the things that are valuable to you? For me, professionalism is valuable to me. Why? Because I wanted to build a business. Remember, they said to me, oh, makeup. How can my husband be working with a girl that's a makeup artist, right? This was something that was a problem because our business was seen as a handwork kind of business. So I needed to bring some professionalism to it. And that became a value for us. And I became consistently talking about professionalism, how we carried ourselves, how we serve our customers, professionalism, how we deliver our service. And in doing so, it became part of our value. So when we are employing somebody, when you bring somebody in and the person does not smile, we cannot employ you. Because before we train you, these are things that comes to you naturally. What it means is that because those things come to you naturally, when you come and join the company, you feel at home. So employ based on your values. What are your values? Employ based on your values. Those values will now shape the culture of the business. And this is what I found. Sometimes when people resign today and you do an exit interview, one of the things they always tell you is that they love the culture at House of Tara. So recognize the people who fit in, and those are the people that you employ. I hope this makes sense to you. This next thing is attract. Listen, guys, you as the business owner, you need to develop the brand of your business. Branding is about consistency. What is it that you say? What is your message, the message of your brand? It's got to be consistent. It's got to be consistent. You have to be consistent in what the message of your brand is. Why? Because that message of your brand attracts your tribe. So first of all, when you are employing, you are identifying things in people. But sometimes you're not employing, you are creating perception in people's minds. And to create that perception in people's mind, it is how your visual image, if it's a retail store, if it's a farm, if it's how you interact with the external world, shows that there is professionalism because there is consistency. Your message is the same consistently. Your product is the same consistently. Branding is not only about logo. Logo is a part of it, right? Colors, brand colors is a part of it. It leaves a strong message, but it's not enough for you to have the brand color. It's not enough for you to have the brand logo. It is for you to position your company to be professional and perceived as professional. How? Number one, have a board of advisors, people who, when they join your business to help you, to give you advice, they position your business as a serious business, right? It's important. Whatever product you are selling, how is it packaged? How is it positioned in the market? How are people talking about it? These are the things that make your brand. You have to have a corporate brand. These are the policies that you put. These are your set of values, the values that make your business. Talk about your values. Be a part of the associations within your industry. Be a voice within your industry. But your brand needs to be heard and needs to be seen. The minute our House of Tara became, remember somebody left because the wife said, the guy left to go and work for Dangote. Now, when he left to go and work for Dangote, you'd say, well, Dangote was a bigger company, yes, but it was also a business at the time was being positioned no longer as a one-man business. The quality of people that they had attracted had made this manager to feel like this was a more estimable place to work. How is your office laid out? Is the office laid out in such a way that somebody will be proud to bring somebody else into the office? These are things that you invest in terms of getting people to join. That is in the external, but also in how you communicate your vision. You attract people with your words, with how you communicate. My dear, listen, sit down and think about your business. Create your vision statement. Your vision statement gives you your drive, but it also gives people a reason to come and join you. Ask yourself, what is my vision? For us at House of Tara, my vision is for House of Tara to become a globally respected beauty company of African origin. I know it by heart. Every single member of House of Tara knows the company vision by heart. Do you know your company vision by heart? Is it a true vision that you created or somebody wrote it for you? The more you talk about your vision, the more you begin to attract talent. About 6 years ago, we were, of course, at the time we had expanded a lot, and we're now beginning to look for a certain caliber of employees. The first person that we recruited came from Microsoft. The second person that we recruited came from PwC. So our director of operations came from PwC. Our commercial director came from Microsoft. Do you know what it is for House of Tara to be able to employ those caliber of people? It showed that we have come a long way from the day where we employed the GM whose wife said, my husband cannot work in that kind of organization. To a place where people were now proud to leave organizations like Microsoft and leave organizations like PwC and come. Number one, it was the power of the vision. Yes, we could pay, but it was also the power of the vision. It was the environment, it was the brand, it was the board that attracted some of these people, because by having corporate governance in place, it meant that I couldn't just do whatever I liked. There was also benefits. Begin to think about benefits around pension, right? How do you set aside money for people's pensions? Pensions helps. Leave allowance helps. Putting a cooperative in place helps. These are benefits that make people feel that you are thinking about their future. And so they are willing to invest in the today of the business. The next thing I would like to talk about after attract is to develop. Being people-centric. Be people-centric, because people make organizations. Entrepreneurs always make it seem as if the business is all about them. It's a lie. It's about the people. We have a store in Abuja where the manager was gifted, was recognized recently. And she was recognized for exemplary leadership. I have not been to Abuja since end of 2019. I have not visited Abuja. It's now 2021, but the revenue in that one location is growing. Most of the locations in Abuja are growing consistently month in, month out. When you get to a point where people can drive the numbers in the locations where they are because they believe in the vision that you carry, it's also in the investment that you have made in the people. I talked about it earlier on. I said investment is in training, is in care, is in supporting. I always tell the story of Joseph. You know, if you're a Christian, you know the story of Joseph. Joseph was a slave who was employed by the prime minister of Egypt at the time. And in the Bible, it's recorded in that story that because of Joseph, God blessed the house of Potiphar. Every employee that works with you can be your Joseph, who God can bless your business because of. If you have 10 employees, some of them are carrying a blessing on their head. How much investment are you making in them? And the investment is in the time of checking how they are doing, personal time, of checking how they're doing, of paying 10,000 naira for them to go on a training, right? That makes them do their jobs better, right? And guess what? There's so many free programs today. Go online and look, and then begin to register your employees to go on those training programs. What are you doing? You're developing your people. Mentor your people. Take the time. There's somebody who you've employed who you can also mentor. Take the time to find out how they're doing, what they need for them to do their jobs better. If they know that you're invested, people only care about what you care about when they know you care about them. People care about what you care about unless they care about what you care about when they know that you care about them. Make that investment in training your people. Make the investment in sharing your vision. Train yourself to be able to share your vision in a way that people feel like this is inspiring. It's somewhere that I would like to be a part of. Today, we have employees that have been in the company for 12 years. Remember, I told you the story of Chevron, and I used to wonder, and I look back now at House of Tara, and we have people that have worked for 12 years. We have people that have worked for 10 years. We've had people that have worked for 8 years. No longer are we having people that work for 1 month. That hasn't happened in ages. People that work for 1 year hardly ever happens now. And why? Because the environment is now more conducive for them. It's an environment where people are trained and developed. Put your appraisal system in place. What is it? Meaning, these are the things that I expect from you. When you are doing well, I will let you know that you're doing well. It's like having a marking scheme. Every time you have continuous assessment tests, what does it do for you? Can you tell me what your continuous assessment test does for you? It tells you they are doing well, or it tells you you're not doing well and you need to buckle up, isn't it? And if you think about that and apply them in your business, and you have your continuous assessment, the continuous assessment is really, what did I train you to do? And how well are you doing it? And guess what? That investment is for the long term. It makes your staff feel that they are being tracked and they will be rewarded, right, for doing well. But when you don't have an appraisal system, people don't even, you just complain and you say, oh, I don't like what you're doing. And there's no way of tracking what else can they do. Are you guys here with me? If you're learning, please let me know in the chat room so that I can feel your energy as well, right? Look for growth opportunities for your employees. Not everybody will stay forever. When they are leaving and they have served, open opportunities, open other doors of opportunities for them. Today, I have a very good mentee who was one of my first male staff at House of Tara about 12 years ago. He works in an oil company today. When he was leaving, I was the one that found the job for him. I was the one that recommended him. I was the one that called the CEO because from my own network. You can do the same for somebody who has served well. When you do it, other people who are serving with the organization are also inspired to give more of themselves. I have registered an employee of mine into a reward program, and the program was Best Employees. And not only did I register her into the program, I got employees of House of Tara to vote for her, to canvass for their cousins, friends, brothers, everyone to vote for her. Eventually, she won. She won it, and she won a free ticket to Dubai. My company didn't have to pay for it, but somebody else. There are opportunities out there that you can reward, good and consistent, because it's what is important to you that you reward. And when people see that you are rewarding a particular behavior, that behavior begins to increase within the organization. I said training, I said mentoring, I said looking for opportunities for them. Lastly, activate your people, be inclusive. When you want to make a decision, before you tell people what you want to do, ask them what they think, what they would do if they were in your position. And always make people feel comfortable that no matter the idea that they give to you, there's no idea that's a bad idea. One of the ways to do so is when people give ideas, immediately adopt it. The more you adopt good ideas, the more you adopt good ideas and you respond fast, even if you thought about it before then. The minute you adopt and say, I give them credit, hey, Kemi, that idea that you gave is not, I've done it now. It encourages more people, because we have a cultural problem where people don't speak up because they feel that, oh, madam or guy, nobody should give feedback. But sometimes you now need to draw out that feedback. I'm a bit bothered about so and so. What do you think you should do? And guess what? People who are working in the trenches know more about the little things, the little details of your business than others do. So my charge to you is make sure that you are inclusive, right? Ask people questions. Are you learning? If you're learning, please let me know. Ask your team members, oh, this decision I want to make, I'm thinking of this, or there's a problem. What do you think I should do? Delegate. So I'm saying be inclusive, but also delegate. How do you delegate? You tell people, this is what we want to do. Oh, you do this, you do that. And when you give them the opportunity to do it, they feel a sense of belonging. They feel a part of what it is that you're doing. I remember when L'Oreal was going to engage us, and I asked a team member, what did they think about that relationship? And people came up with different issues. Some people said they were not for it. Some people said they were for it, and they shared their opinion. And the minute they shared their opinion, I saw things, because, I always tell people, I say, when you are seated here, you can't see behind you, except you're on the Zoom, right? You can't see behind you. But somebody else is standing behind you, and it can be a janitor, it can be the cleaner, it can be the security man, he can be the gate man. But guess what? Make the point to engage, to ask questions. You'll be surprised what you can get from it. There was a time we were doing a cost-cutting initiative within the business. And I asked a janitor how he thinks that we can cut costs within the business. And he told me, he said, the dispenser cups that we buy, house of staff don't need to use it, because every time you buy dispenser cups, when staff use it, they throw it in the bin. But if customers come, you'd have more than customers can use. Every employee should get a mug or a cup. And that was an initiative that was given by a janitor within the business. And we were able to implement it. And we saw such a remarkable difference in it. So think about delegation, be inclusive in your decision making, right? Let people do ideation sessions. You have 3 people in your business, 4 of them, 10. Bring them together. Let everybody tell you, what do you think we should do? COVID was a very bad season for us last year. And it was ideas from within the house that we were able to implement. So make sure that you have those things. We do something called a family meeting, where at the beginning of the year, we all come together and people can tell me, and the family meeting is about telling me what you think needs to change. And you must, everybody speaks up and they share. And immediately in the first 2 months, we try to implement it to encourage people to continue to do so. Okay. Lastly, rewarding and sanctions. Listen, shouting is not a sustainable sanction process. And I know that a lot of people find that their default, right, is to scream, is to shout. But you need to ask yourself, over the years, over the last 2 years, over the last 3 years, what do you find are some of the things that people do? Write it down. Put consequences beside them. Some of them you can say to yourself, there's a graded consequence. So the first time can be a verbal warning. Second time can be a written warning. The next time can be a suspension. The next time can be a sack. Or in some cases for us, if you steal, it's immediate sack. So we noticed these things and we documented them. Document them when somebody comes to work in your business and you are doing an induction for them. You know, when I said, when people work in your business, make sure that you have time to talk to them about your business, about what you're trying to do, what you're trying to achieve, how you think that they can be a part of it, what role you think they can play, how they can make a difference in the business. Also give them this consequence management paper. Let them see what if they do this is what it means. Every entrepreneur must have your sanctions for anything and everything that you see. And some businesses have peculiar issues, right, that may be different from others. So it's not sometimes you cannot copy and paste. For us, who pioneered the industry, there are things that we didn't know. We didn't know that somebody can go late to go and do a bridal job. If they go late to go and do it, what do you do? But I can't learn that from a bank. Bank will not tell me that, right? Because clients are coming to the bank, okay? I didn't know that a customer, a makeup artist can go into a bride's home and something can get missing, right? And if something gets missing, what do you do about it? These are peculiar things I cannot copy from another business. And there's some businesses here who you have to create these things because your business is a pioneer, it's new to you, you are the first to do it. And in other cases, you can adopt from other people and maybe find the ones, but don't, every time there's a challenge, an opportunity for learning. Okay? So please reward people, reward them by recognizing them. Okay, put up their face on the DP. You may not be able to do an award ceremony, right? But you can also do an award ceremony. You can do an award ceremony that is Zoom and send links to 15 of your friends and get them to clap for the person. That is recognition. It doesn't have to be a big ceremony. It doesn't have to be even financial. You can buy a gift or you can give them a fabric from your home and you can buy Ankara. But what you're basically saying is, I recognize what you have done. So rewarding and sanctioning are very, very important. So that's my radar, RADAR. I hope that was helpful. How much time do I have left to now talk about the money issues? Some of the money issues that I have. How much time, LSCTF, can you tell me how much time I have left? Was this helpful? Would you be able to apply things? What are you going to apply when you leave? Okay, thank you. I want to see what you're going to apply. What are you going to change? What are you going to stop doing? Okay, LSCTF, how much time do I have? Is Taiwo here? Clearly, I still have some time.
You don't have much time anymore. I think we've overused our time.
Oh my gosh.
Unfortunately. But we can spare you a couple of minutes.
Okay, so let's just take 5 minutes. Let me run through some of the financials, right? I found that as I went along with my business, I went to see Mrs. Ogunlesi, Nika Ogunlesi of Rough and Tumble, and I said to her, I was not seeing the money. And I was not seeing the money, even though I was generating money, okay? And one of the things I found are lessons for me personally that I learned, I would just maybe say 2 or 3 so that we can move to the next part. I will talk about them later on. Number 1 is we need to learn how to send our money on errands because money has its own legs and hands. It just keeps going, okay? But if you don't have a budget, I didn't have a budget. So it was like the money comes, the money is just going. But I have now learned to stop and plan properly. And planning properly is really about setting, determining what needs to be spent on a monthly basis in your business, putting that together and then deciding, this is how much I will spend every month. The next speaker is going to talk about financial planning. I think it's important that you pay very close attention to how to create those, because I found that the business money was being generated, but I wasn't seeing the money. So one day I sat down and realized, we had generated millions of naira, and I didn't even know where the money went. It was all spent. And I also was very fixated on talking about how much money I was generating as opposed to how much profit I was making. So there's a difference between how much you are generating, making, and how much profit. How much money you're generating and how much money you are making. Making is profit, generating is generating. So I just want to assume that everyone here, if I asked you how much you generated last year in 2020, you'll be able to tell me what you generated in 2020, half of 2021, I think that's important because numbers tell you a story. They tell you where to expand, what to do more of. We sat down and began to create other businesses within our business because our numbers were telling us something. So think about your numbers within your financial framework as storytellers. See 10,000 naira telling you a story. See 15,000 naira telling you a story. See 15,000 from last year, and then this year 30,000 is telling me a story. What is the story that my numbers are telling me? I want you to adopt it, and I want you to begin to apply it. And I think the next thing I would like to say is make sure you pay yourself a salary. That way you're sending your money on errands, right? You don't feel like your business generating 100 million belongs to you. No, it is your salary, so you can live within your means. And I think at this point I would like to stop and leave the floor for the other speakers. I'm so sorry to have taken your time that much.
Amazing presentation. Thank you so much, Tara. And it's really a knowledge-packed session, I want to say, and I speak on behalf of everyone online right now. And thank you for reminding us about those old great brands that most of us have probably forgotten, Concord, Tandy, and the likes. Yeah, they were good brands, and we hope that our attendees will be able to build brands that will still stand the test of time, even till when they even leave, and the companies that would outlive them, basically. Thank you so much again, once again. And before we proceed, I would like to do a brief intro of our next facilitator. His name is Mr. Abiola Fajimi. Is the managing partner at PML Audits. Abiola has over 18 years extensive experience in audit, international financial reporting standards, risk management, accounting services, financial advisory, process improvement, and business development, working with clients in the banking sector, insurance, asset management, pension, private equity funds, NGOs, and regulators. Prior to Abiola's joining PML Audit, he worked at KPMG and rose to the position of manager before joining IFRS Partner Limited, a subsidiary of Issues Central Inc., Canada, as a senior consultant. Abiola focuses on PML audit strategic vision, product development, and leads a high caliber team and consultant base, primarily made up of Big Four professionals with choice credentials and substantial industry experience. Outside his Big Four global working experience, Abiola has acquired vast experience working with PMO audit partners across the globe. Abiola is a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria and a certified information system auditor. He holds a Bachelor of Agriculture degree from Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife. Let's welcome Mr. Abiola Fajim. Thank you.
All right, good morning, and hope we are having a great time. I think that was a very great section from Mrs. Feladilo today. Okay, so in the next 25 minutes, I will be talking to us about financial planning and forecast. And I will try as much as possible to be practical, to share insight from what I've learned and I've seen over the years. Because one of the things we will find out is that as organization matures, just like what Mrs. Durotoye said, they begin, the entrepreneur, the founders begin to understand so many other sides of business, and they will be able to carry the burden, even the responsibility of that organization better, and then help in ensuring that that organization scale up further. What we'll find is that big organizations, there are ways and there are things they do that a lot of time, because of the pressure of starting up, the pressure of the entrepreneur having to do everything, you might not want to pay attention to it. And one of such things is the issue of financial planning and forecast. And when she was talking about, she said she realized at a point that she was making money, the business was making money, but she could not see the money, which happens a lot. You can be busy making money, but you are not seeing the money because we are not done proper financial planning. So I will talk to us around financial planning and forecasting. Well, the discussions will be in twofold, just looking at what's financial planning, what is financial forecast. Because sometimes people confuse the two, but there is a thin line between the two tasks, and the two tasks are actually required for business. So when you run a business, I also run a business beyond being an accountant, because when you run an accounting firm, you need to run it like a business. It's not, I say it's 40% accounting, 60% business. Running a business is like solving a very complex puzzle, because the answers to so many things, you need to figure it out. And one of such things you need to figure out is your finance. If there is no money, the business can run into challenge. And one of the common phrases I say, and I like to always share with my team, is the word cash is king. If you have cash, you can do a lot. No matter your idea, if you don't have cash, you are likely to run into challenges. So when we talk about financial planning, we are talking about what is your plan? What do you think, or what do you have in place to ensure that you are able to achieve your financial goal as an organization? Based on your current situation, where you are, the way you are running your business, how do you plan to achieve your financial goal? Today, okay, I'm doing a business of 500 million turnover, but my goal is I want to run a business that is turning over 5 billion naira. What is my plan? And if you look at the diagram right on the slide, you see the man is at one corner of the object, of the square, and the ultimate goal is that he wants to have enough money. So you must plan. If you have a complex puzzle like this to walk through, you cannot just walk through it randomly. You must have a careful planning, because if you walk through it randomly, you will never get to that money. So the same way is what financial planning helps you to do. So it helps you to create a roadmap for your money, how you want to achieve your objective of having a particular financial goal, maybe 5 billion, I want to have this kind of asset worth. Whatever it is, your financial planning will help you. And it will be helping you to answer the question, where are you financially? As a business, as individual, we must know where we are. If you run a business, I've seen people that run business, even chartered accountants, they don't even produce financial statements, or they don't bother to produce management accounts. You are not going to make it, you will struggle financially. There's need to be sure of where you are as individual, as business, as organization. And we need to also define who do we want to be financially. Again, I mean, you expect that who you want to be financially will tie back to your vision as an organization. You should have this ultimate leg right in your vision, but you must have an idea of who we want to be financially. And how do we get there? You know, say you don't score a goal without a goalpost. So when you know that, okay, this is who I want to be financially, how do I want to get there? And what do I need to get there? Running a business is not a gamble. It's more than gambling. It involves serious planning. And I'll tell you, the subject of making money requires serious planning. You have to plan for it. You cannot leave it to chance. If you leave it to chance, you are likely to fail. So we must be conscious of that fact. Who needs a financial plan? I'll tell you, everybody. Business, individuals, name it. Everybody needs to have a financial plan. As an individual, you must have a financial plan. You know how much you earn. You know who you want to be. You want to ask yourself in 5 years' time, will I be able to achieve my dream? Will I be able to meet my expectation? We need to be clear on what is our goal, and each one of us must come up with a plan to achieve it. Why do you need a financial plan, really? Why? I'll tell you, it gives you a sense of direction. And when the last speaker was talking, she was talking about being more attractive. One of the things is that when an organization has direction, what it does to the employees, that it keeps them focused. If you can tell your staff and say, today, this business, we are making 10 million naira. But I think in 5 years' time, we can make 15 million naira. Today, I think a typical employee here will pay in 100,000 naira. But I think in 5 years' time, we'll be able to pay you 250,000 naira. It will possibly see reasons to stay more than when you don't have a plan. And whether we tell our employees our plan or not, they will think about it. So if you add the plan of the organization from the employees, then you will not get the employees' commitment because they are not sure of where exactly we're going. With our plan, we can see the bigger picture. If you draw up a plan and you see what you can achieve, where the number will be in 3 years' time, in 5 years' time, I'm sure a lot of us will be much more motivated. You want to work harder, and I'm sure every entrepreneur in the room can attest to that. By the time you draw up your budget, and it's okay, so this year, if we do this, we do that, we should be able to double our revenue. So from that plan, you are fired, you are eager, and you are excited to do more so that you can achieve that goal. So with a proper planning, you can see the bigger picture of what the organization can achieve, where the organization can go to, and what the organization can be. It provides motivation to everybody, including the founder, the CEOs, the directors. Everybody is motivated when they see a clear direction of what we are working towards. And so we need to have that in place so that we get people motivated. And it gives us opportunity to control our future. If you look at your business, if you look at where you are today, and say, if you continue on this path, it cannot get you to your desire in the next 5 years, then you need to create another path. You are sure that you need to figure out something else because it will not lead to the ultimate result. So how do you come up with a financial plan? What are the basic things you need to do? First is we need to determine the current situation. Every one of us needs to determine our current situation. At least I would say at least once in a year, you should sit back as organization, as individuals, and say, what is your current situation as a family? How much do we have? And what do we want to do as a family? The same way business needs to sit down. Where are we as a business? And what do we want to be? Or who do we want to be? What do we want to achieve? We need to determine that situation as of today, so that we are sincere with ourselves in all our thinking. If you, for example, okay, you look at it and say, my income is 100,000 naira for a month, and in 12 months time, I want to drive a car of 4 million naira. You know, it's not possible unless you change your strategy. So that's what we achieve, or what we need to do. We need to assess the current situation of things, and in assessing it, pay attention to your net worth. How much do you have today? How much income do you make per month? How much expenses do you make per month? How much debt do you have compared to your income level? What exactly is your cash flow pattern? We must do that assessment and determine where we are as of today, or at a particular time. We cannot just be running the business. So many people run business, they don't even bother to sit down and assess their financial situation. They are just running as, okay, money is coming in, money is going out, we are fine. No, there's need to do an assessment so that we can plan for the future. Even while you are making money today and you are happy, who said you cannot make more? Or are there not things you can do to make more, from just being somebody that makes 10 million to become somebody that makes 15 million to become somebody that makes 100 million? And sometimes that's one of the things we don't do right, and why some of our businesses will not scale. Because by the time you do an assessment and you are thinking about the plan for the future, you'll be able to put in place necessary strategies that will ensure that we are able to achieve our goal. So we must set goals. We must set financial goals for our business. What do we want to achieve in 12 months as a business financially? What do I want to achieve in 5 years, and what do you want to achieve in 20 years? That keeps us in check, and that keeps us focused, because we know where we want to go as a business. I said, if you don't score a goal without a goal post. So if you don't set a goal, you will not even know whether you are doing well or not. So there must be clearly set out goals. And in setting the goals, we must understand the driver of our business. Every business has key drivers, what we call key drivers. What determines the success of your business is the key driver of your business. It might be more than one factor, you might have 2, 3 factors, but you must understand it. I'll give you an example. If you run a bank, one critical factor, you must look at your lending portfolio, because if you don't give out enough loans, you will continue to struggle. If you run a retail outlet, if you are not able to even attract traffic to your business, to your locations, your sales is at risk. So we must understand our key drivers, the business key drivers, and make sure that in a way we're able to tie our financial goals to it. Not everything is important to a business, but those key drivers are very important and crucial to the success of the business. So we must pay attention to the key drivers of the business. We need to set financial goals that are smart. Our financial goals need to be smart. And when we talk about smart, we're talking about it being specific. What is the specific goal we want to achieve? It has to be specific. We cannot afford it to be ambiguous. It needs to be specific. It needs to be measurable. Can you measure where you've achieved the goal or not? It needs to be achievable. Our goals must be achievable. We want to set goals that are achievable, but we also don't want to set a goals that we can easily achieve. Someone used to say when goals are easily achieved, then it's not a goal. Our goals must stretch us, but it must be realistic. Okay? It must also be realistic, and it must be time-bound. We need goals that are time-bound. And we must remember to organize brainstorming sessions with our team. There's need to always bring our team together, do a brainstorming section, do a strategy section with the team. Go through what we're thinking as the leaders, as the founders, as CEOs. What are you thinking about the business finances? Sometimes we think that exposing our finance, the business finance to the employees might be is a risk. But the reality is that whether you expose your business finance to the employees or not, they have an idea of what is going on. They might not have a 100% idea, but they have ideas of what is going on. But we must carefully let them know how the business is performing. If you have branches in the whole of Nigeria, you must be able to show somebody in Port Harcourt and say, this is what you are doing in terms of sales. This is how far you've done, and this is how the location is performing. So there is need to have that conversation within the team. It cannot be a one-man team. No organization is run by one man, but it's rather run by a team. Remember to write down the goals. It's important to write down our goals, and we'll make it visible. Our goals should not be hidden. It should be visible. Every member of the team should understand the goal of the business at a particular time. They should be carried along in setting the goal, and they should know what the goals are. There must be plans to achieve those goals. It's not just to have goals. We need to have concrete plans, documented plans on how we plan to achieve these goals. And when doing that, consider the resources that you have. How much resources do we have at our disposal? And you must also be conscious of constraints. What are the constraints to these our goals? And remember to share those plans with knowledgeable people that can advise. If you have a board, share with your board. If you have partners, share with your partners so that they can direct our thoughts or our action in achieving that goal. Other things to think about: what is your debt level? How much debt do you have? You see some businesses, they are spending a lot of money in their cost of finance. They are paying a lot of money on interest, and they also want to pay dividends. You need to tell yourself, between giving shareholders return and offsetting this debt you have, there is need to balance it. Your cash flow pattern and projections has to be understood. Each business has its own unique cash flow pattern. All businesses are not the same. Some businesses will tell you they make money in the first 6 months of the year, and then the remaining 6 months is just a low cost. You must understand the pattern of income for your business when drawing up a financial plan, and also know the business outlook and cycle. One of the things that big organizations do is to sit down and look at what is the business outlook. I'm not sure how many of us pay attention to the economic outlook, even of Nigeria, when people have sections to say, okay, this is where they think the economy is going. This is the direction they think things will go. There is need as entrepreneurs, as CEOs, to understand how things are likely to play out. And we have to consider our priority. What is priority for the business at a particular time? The priority will change from time to time, but we need to know the priority at every point in time and focus our course of action around our priority. Let me just walk us through this, just a small financial plan that you could have as a business. This is ABC Manufacturing PLC, and it's a small scale cottage manufacturing company somewhere in Ikorodu, and they are basically into processing of granite and cashew. Now, the business is about to draw up a simple plan for the operation for the year. And they're doing a current assessment and say, where are we? And one thing they found out is that their cash balance is usually around maximum, they have about 100,000 naira in their bank account per time. And they are continuing to have issues with their working capital and even unable to fully utilize the production facility because they don't have enough resources. Plus the fact that there is a very high receivable balance they have. So they understood some of this peculiar situation and they come up with the goals that, okay, what they want to do next, maybe in the next 6 months, 12 months, is that they want to improve the average cash balance to not less than 500,000 to be sure that at every point in time, they do not have less than 500,000 naira on an average basis. And also to improve the working capital and reduce the receivable as much as possible. And so each of these goals, they are putting forward a strategy to it. So we want to improve our cash balance. What do we want to do? We will limit credit sales to customers effective for 1st September 2021. We want to minimize credit sales. We don't want to just be selling to people on credit. We want to see if we can access some credit finance from LSCTF so that it will help our finances and improve on our cash balance. And then we'll also consider raising additional cash. Okay, I can see some people raising their hands. I'm sure we'll take questions at the appropriate time. While they have those strategies in place to achieve the financial goals, they also are conscious of the potential risk or constraint to their strategies, which is the fact that if they say, okay, now it's going to be strictly credit sales, they could experience customer disloyalty. Some people may not want to patronize them going forward. And they put in place appropriate mitigation plans. We will recruit additional retail outlets. We will immediately get our guys to sell directly to the consumers. You know, these are some of the things they put in place to mitigate even the constraints or the risk. So as organizations, we need to put together those are our goals and look at the strategies to achieve them and deal with the possible constraints. So achieving those objectives. Okay, let me move to talk about financial forecast. Okay. So when we talk about the financial forecast, it's a process of predicting what the future will look like based on your current financial situation. I'm sure we'll take questions at the appropriate time. So you must be able to predict the future. After you look at your business, you come up with a plan, we need to be able to predict or project the future. The whole essence is for us to be able to look at how effective our plan is going to be ultimately. So there is need for us to forecast what the numbers will look like. In a well-prepared forecast, you will have things like statement of financial position, balance sheet, income statement, statement of cash flow. But those are ones that possibly you've engaged someone like me to put together. But not until you can afford the fee of a professional like me before you need to prepare a forecast. We can prepare basic forecasts along the critical drivers of our business. We can prepare forecasts around our sales and revenue, our staff costs, our loans, our margin, our collection. We can do a basic forecast. So the beginning of a new year, and I'm projecting this year, last year we sold 100 million. This year, we need to do 150 million. That's our forecast for sales. Last year, we paid total sum of 850 million in staff costs. This year, we think we'll pay sum of 60 million in staff costs. That's another staff cost forecast. So we can do forecasts as simple as that for our business, and it will help us to track the progress we have made. In preparing your forecast, you need to gather all your past financial statements or records. Look at your balance, what have you been doing, what have been the performance of the organizations, how much did you sell last year, how much did you collect, how much did you pay out as staff salary. All of this financial information, you put it together And based on that, you now need to make a projection. You can make a projection strictly based on historical. So I say last year we sold 10 million. So this year we need to sell 15 million because we must grow. Last year we sold 50 million. This year we need to sell 60 million. That's one possible way of making the projection. The second approach can be a research based. So I look at it as, okay, so this industry we operate in, what is the market size? I sell bread, for example, and I'm saying, okay, so what is the market size of bread in Lagos? Estimated. Okay, I cannot cover the whole of Lagos, but I can cover the whole of Yaba. What's the market size of bread consumption within Yaba, where our factory is located? Estimated 50 million. Can I have 10% share on a monthly basis of this? 5 million. Guys, the way we can do it, your team, you go to a brainstorming session and say, okay, we think we should be able to have 5% shares of this market, knowing fully well that there are maybe 20 players, but we have one of the best bakery around. So we think we can do 5 million. So our forecast for the year becomes 5 million. Or we can do a combination of the historical and research base, combining the two together to arrive at what we think should be the projection for the period. And ultimately, we will then create a pro forma or sample financial statement. In preparing your forecast, really there must be assumptions that goes into it. Assumptions around some of the key variables. And that's why it's actually important that every organization, you have your financial statement in place. Produce management accounts, produce reports. That are powerful tools to drive growth for any organization because it gives you insight. So when you want to make a forecast, you can look at those numbers and use them to project the future, to prepare your forecast. So in preparing the forecast, there is need to look at some of the assumptions for the business. Like here is sample assumptions. Sales, we want to grow our sales by 20%. And we should be asking ourselves, can we do it? Yes, we can. Then we work with a projection of 20% increase. We can decide that, okay, some products do not give us enough margin. So we want to realign our portfolio. And say, okay, this particular product, it used to contribute 10%, but it has a good margin. So we want it to contribute 25% going forward. So we can focus more energy and resources on it. The same way you can look at production and say, what do we want to change in our production assumption? Last year, it cost us maybe 1,000 naira to produce a unit, but this year we want to improve our production process so that we'll be able to produce that at 900 naira. And you can communicate that even to the engineers, to the production team, and say, okay, we cannot produce at that price again. So you need to think about a better production recipe, methodology to ensure that we're able to achieve that set target. So there's need to look at those key assumptions that will drive our forecast. And immediately we look at the key, based on the key assumptions, we can project the numbers and make a forecast. So I'll just show us like a typical forecast. This is some assumption for a forecast that will show the forecast that will show us next. They want to grow the sales by 20% year by year. They want to increase cost of sales can only increase by 10% yearly. We don't want our cost of sales, even while we are growing sales, we don't want the cost of sales to just grow. We want it to only increase by 10%. And we want to grow staff costs by only 15% in 2021, 2022, and 2023. And all the other parameters we follow our historical pattern. And so just looking at these sample financials, you see what the company did in 2020, 2019, and 2018. And they're able to compare the changes, what has been the growth in the numbers, what have been the changes in those numbers over the last 3 years. And based on that, we forecast what we think will be our performance for year 2021. Immediately we put this forecast out, we review it, we look at the assumptions, and we're asking ourselves, can we deliver it? Are there things that we need to put in place to be able to deliver on the forecast. Once we conclude, yes, then it becomes something that as a team we are focused on and we are working towards achieving. And at the end of the day or from time to time, we can measure progress. How are we progressing against our set forecast? And that will ultimately lead us to we achieving our financial plan that we've set out for ourselves as an organization. Thank you very much. Hope we gain one or two things from the session.
Thank you so much, Mr. Abiola. At least for our business owners online right now, I'm sure they know the importance of having a financial plan, which would describe how they intend to spend their company money. Thank you for that amazing session. I would like to invite our next facilitator, who will be taking us on strategies for attracting and retaining the right talent for our businesses. I would like to welcome Ms. Tomi Otudeko. She's the head of corporate responsibility and services at Honeywell Group. She's responsible for Honeywell Group's CSR strategy. She also oversees the corporate services for Honeywell Group Limited, which includes information technology, communications, administration, and facilitates management. Tomi is a program delivery expert with deep expertise in operational excellence and joined the group in November 2017 to help set up Etana, Honeywell Group's corporate venture investment platform. Prior to joining Honeywell Group, she led the implementation of integration activities for First Bank of Nigeria across 6 African countries and was head of international banking coordination for its international business. Prior to this, Tomi was responsible for implementing transformation initiatives in operations at First Bank. Before joining First Bank, Tomi was an investment manager at Stanbic IBTC Asset Management Limited. She has also worked at IBM UK as a business development specialist with a focus on process and service improvement through strategic outsourcing. Tomi holds an LLB in law from King's College London and an MSc in economics with merit from the University of Manchester. She's a Prince 2 certified project manager and holds a certificate in entrepreneurship and innovation from Stanford University. Tomi is a trustee of SWL Foundation, which is a nonprofit based in Lagos. She loves adventure and is a keen runner. Please let's welcome Tomi Otudeko. Thank you.
Thank you, Taiwo. Can everybody see my screen? Can see the slides I have up? If so, can you just say so in the chat so that I'm sure that you're with me? Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, everybody. So as Taiwo has introduced me, my name is Tomi Otudeko. I head corporate responsibility at services at Honeywell Group. Today, I'm going to be taking a very quick session on strategies for attracting and retaining the right talent using Honeywell Group as a case study. At Honeywell Group, we've been around for nearly 50 years. So I was listening to what Tara had said. Yes, not many companies have been around for that long here in Nigeria, but we're one of them. So I hope that we'll have some lessons to learn from our experience. I've also taken some lessons listening to Tara and following the chat and the questions that have been asked. And we really do always continue to learn. One thing that is important in business sustainability is that you cannot be static. You cannot remain the same. When you remain the same, people will overtake you. So by the end of this session, what I want us to have been able to do is to share talent strategies that help ensure business sustainability. I want to show you how we've done it at Honeywell Group, some of the strategies and the things that we've done here at Honeywell Group to attract and retain talent, and also identify some clear actions that you can take to grow and future-proof your businesses through your people. So as a brief introduction, I wanted to, when I was thinking about this and looking through what we're going to talk about talent, the first question I asked is, why should we actually care about talent? And there's a book that I had read by a famous management consultant called Peter Drucker. And what he said was, and I thought it was very instructive, was the most valuable assets of a 20th century company were its production equipment. However, the most valuable asset for a 21st century institution, whether business or non-business, will be its knowledge workers and their productivity. So it's clear, your people are your asset. Your people are your most important asset, not just any asset, they're your most valuable assets. So what's an asset? An asset in a business asset is an item of value owned by a company. But you'll all agree with me that you cannot own people. So while your people are your assets, allow me to rephrase it a bit with regards to your people. Your people are a thing of value loaned by a company. They have been entrusted in you and they're on loan to you. And like anything of value that is loaned, you have a responsibility to them. When I was listening to this, it reminded me of a parable in the Bible called the parable of the talents. In the parable of the talents, a master gives his servants certain talents, and he comes back and he reacts to what they've done with that talent. And in his reaction, we get some instructive lessons. And your talent and the responsibility you have to talent is fourfold. You need to use your talents effectively, like the servants or the good servant did in the parable of the talents. You need to protect that talent, but not just protect it, you need to actually also grow it and develop it. And at the end of the day, you need to be ready at any point to return it. Because as I said before, they're on loan to you. They're not something that you necessarily have to keep forever. And at Honeywell Group, we've really come to understand this. We've come to understand that our talents are valuable and they're on loan, but we must be responsible custodians of these assets that have been given to us and that are on loan to us. I cannot tell you about what we do without telling us a bit about who we are. So who are we at Honeywell Group? Honeywell Group is a family business. It's a family enterprise that has become a holding company. We were founded in 1972 by a chairman, so nearly 50 years ago. We'll be 50 next year. And it started really like many of the businesses that I'm sure are represented here today. It started to support and professionalize his mother's trading business. His mother was a trader across West Africa. She used to trade in food products. We actually called her, well, she's my grandma, and we used to call her Mama Ghana. She used to trade, go to Ghana, come back from Ghana, and be trading foodstuffs across southern Nigeria, northern Nigeria, and all the way to Ghana. But as our chairman started to professionalize our business, sorry, are my slides moving? I've gotten some feedback that the slides are not moving. I cannot see. No, my slides are not moving. Thank you. Thank you very much. I am going to try again. If you don't mind, I'm going to stop sharing and start sharing again. Are my slides moving now? What do you see now? Yes, fantastic. Thank you so very much. I was talking about our business and who we are. So we started nearly 50 years ago. As an investment holding company, as a family enterprise, helping to professionalize my grandma's business. Our chairman started to professionalize it, started to put structure in place. And that speaks to a lot of the things that Tara said about putting structure into your business. Started by looking at trading of food commodities. So we were trading stockfish, we were trading yeast. Over time, we then moved on to non-food commodities. Over the last 50 years, the company has grown into a diverse portfolio of investments. We're now well established across many sectors in the economy, from foods to real estate, from infrastructure, all the way to financial services. And what drives us and what really is our key driver is that we want to be creating impactful value creation that actually transcends generations, not just this generation, but many generations to come. So let me tell you a bit more about our business. and how we've transformed over the years. In the 70s, as I said, we started with food commodities and evolved over time to non-food commodities such as glass and steel rods. By the 1980s, what we realized was that we wanted to be addressing and continue to address the needs of the Nigerian consumer. And at that point, some of the things we started looking at was we started manufacturing bags, started manufacturing plastic bags, we started manufacturing cutlery and crockery using coral products. By the 1990s, we saw a second evolution of our business. We started to build and create businesses. One of the businesses I'm sure many of you would know is Honeywell Flour Mills, was established in the 1990s. It's something that I'm sure some of you have on your table from the bread you eat is probably from our flour. Some of you, I'm sure you have our semolina and our pasta. We also went into a number of other businesses from security to engineering. By the 2000s, we started to look at some of our strategic investments. We started to invest in infrastructure, in banking and technology. A key investment we had at that time was an investment in a telecoms company that we invested in. And it's interesting to note that our chairman was the first person to make a GSM call in Nigeria on his Airtel phone. At that point, I believe it was called Econet, but he made a phone call on his Econet phone. And this was one of the investments we had through our Honeywell group. By the 2010s, we started to think through innovation and partnerships. So we started to look at partnerships we would have that would help develop the Nigerian economy. Partnerships with regards to oil and gas, partnerships with regards to our hospitality business. And one of our companies is Radisson Blu Anchorage here in VI in Lagos. Now we're consolidating our businesses and we are continuing to balance the need for growth and sustainability, but our commitment remains the same, to create value that transcends generation through our portfolio of companies. And we're driven by the need to create value, not just for our company, not just for our people, but for communities and for the country at large. This is who we are, and these are the things that we have achieved through this time. So we are driven by our 10,000 employees. The businesses that we operate in have feed over 4 million households per year. This is the tonnage of the food that we create. We are also very proud of the fact that we have very strong representative of women in our management team. So 43% of our management team here at the group is made up of women. And these are some of the other things, and these are the numbers, and this is who we are as Honeywell Group. But this and none of this would be possible without our people. We realize that our successes have been propelled by our greatest assets, our people. Yes, it started with one person, but we're now up to 10,000 people. So how did we do this? And I'm going to share a few things that a few actions we took and a few steps that we did this. I think it's also interesting to note, as I was listening to Tara, there's really nothing new under the sun. And it's clear that Tara, with her business of nearly 20 years, is doing many of the same things that we're doing in our business of 50 years. And I expect that you all in different aspects are doing some of the things that we're doing in your business that might have only been in existence for 1, 2, 3, 5, 10 years. So I have really just 7 points on things that I think you need to do as a business to attract the right talent, but not just attract, also retain the right talent. The first thing is to know your business's value proposition to staff. For us at Honeywell Group, we have a number of things that are key value propositions for our staff. For our staff, one thing that I think they want to do is to be part of an impact-driven organization. At Honeywell Group, we're driven by making impact. One thing, for example, we did in the 2000s was one of our companies was the company that brought power for us to Bayelsa State. Through an engineering project that we did, we connected Bayelsa State to the national grid. People want to be part of those kind of stories, and that is the opportunity that we give to them. We also provide people with varied experiences. So we have had somebody that wanted a financial services or financial career. I wanted a career in accounting. what we were able to do for them was they started off entry level in accounting, but that same person has gone on and has become a CFO of one of our companies, the financial controller of another of our companies. But what they're doing is they're not just doing this necessarily in one company. They can have a clear finance career in multiple companies, from working in a foods business to a hospitality business to an oil and gas business. And the key thing that underpins this for us is our strong values. We are very clear on who we are and what we stand for. We're clear and we attract people that share those strong values. So we have people that have that can-do attitude, people that have a spirit of excellence, people that are driven to make impact, but are also driven to do the right thing, driven by a clear view for integrity and a need to have integrity in the way we do business. The people that work with us have a responsibility beyond themselves. So it's not just about creating value and making money for us or for the organization, but also ensuring that we impact our communities in such a strong way. What does that mean for you? For businesses like yourselves, I think it's very important that you know who you are. You understand who you are. You understand what value you're bringing. You understand what you're trying to achieve. The second thing is you need to work with your people. So it is not just about you as the entrepreneur or the business leader. You need to work with your people to share those values, to actually jointly develop and create those values. You want them to understand the journey you're going on and to want to be part of that journey. So when you create something together, you're more likely to want to go on that journey with them. So that is something that is very important, especially in the timing of your business or where you are as a business. Second thing is you need to create growth opportunities for people. At Honeywell Group, we took a chance on people. We had somebody that started with us as entry level. 20 odd years later, he is the financial director of a company listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. That was because we took a chance on him, and we helped him grow. We gave him opportunities to grow and develop, to equip him to be ready for that role. We also, as I said earlier, provided varied career paths, not just within the same line of business, but also or within the same competence, also allowing people who might have started off in the back office to end up in a marketing role or a market-facing role. That is something that is very important. For you, one thing that I think is important, depending on the stage of the business that you're in, it also requires a level of patience, is to allow for on-the-job learning, allow people to learn. You recruit for a number of things. You recruit for some basic skills and you recruit for shared values. After that, it's your responsibility to help people to learn, allow them to learn on the job, allow them to grow, allow them to develop. The other thing is realize that you might not get it right the first time. So be willing to move people around, willing to find ways to allow them to get the best fit. So the person you recruited for HR, by the time you're observing them and working with them, might actually be best fit for marketing. If you're sure they have the right attitude and are willing to learn, let them learn, give them the opportunity to do that and give them the opportunity to try new things within your organization. And to be as ambidextrous as possible. Third, and something that I know Tara spoke about earlier, is also being very deliberate with talent development. At Honeywell Group, there are a number of things that we did. One was to create the Honeywell Excellence Program. That was a graduate trainee program that was started over 20 years ago now by a chairman. And what his vision was that he wanted to create the leaders of tomorrow. He felt that the responsibility of the organization was not just to equip people within our organization, but outside our organization. We knew and we were very clear that people that went through this program were not necessarily going to stay with us for the whole time. But what we would be giving them was equipping them for what they would be doing in the future. So they would go through a nearly 2-year program, working across different parts of our businesses and doing both formal and informal training and on-the-job training to develop them to be ready for managerial roles within the organization. We also had, for people that have developed in the business and are entering into the managerial cadre, we had something called a Honeywell Emerging Leaders Program. That program enabled our people that are just becoming managers or are about to become managers to be prepared to actually lead and to develop others. We're also very proactive with our external training. So our HR teams have very clear mandates around training people externally. But on top of that, not just a normal yearly training or yearly training plan, we help and we support and identify people that we would like to support in their journey. So there are people that we have contributed to their training at the Lagos Business School, their masters or their MBA at Lagos Business School, also contributed to people that have done training outside of a postgraduate training outside of Nigeria, and also just ensure we continue to contribute to individuals' training plans and training objectives that benefit both the organization, but also benefit the individuals, because a more rounded employee is actually beneficial to us. And lastly, we had a very clear coaching and mentoring framework that we have. That framework enabled us to identify key staff and support them through the process of their careers. For you, what I would encourage you to do is do on-the-job training. Do on-the-job training with regards to you as a business leader training your staff. Continue to train your staff. Tara said something about the fact that the things that she's very passionate about, she trains her staff on and is clear on what it is. So customer service for her, as the case would be. You also know the things and the core skills you have and support them in that training. Also, pay for training or identify training courses that they can take and support them where possible, because the more educated or the more skills they have, the more skills they can apply to your business. Additionally, depending on the size of your business, and also to ensure that there's some that training and information is shared across. One thing that you might want to do is look at, for people you send off to train, and ensure that they come back and train the rest of the team or share their knowledge. So at Honeywell Group here, we have something called a knowledge sharing session. So we do it once a month. People with certain core skills share with the rest of the team so that we have some level of understanding and everybody understands and has some clear core skills that are being developed and encouraged. But ensure that you actually also give time to learn. Yes, I know work must continue, but learning is valuable not just to the individual, but also to the organization. So create a culture of learning around your organization and around your company. A fourth thing really is to allow people to fly the coop. As I said before, people are on loan. Don't take it personally if they leave. For us at Honeywell Group, I'll tell you a few interesting stories. We've had a gentleman that joined us, was with us for a period and left on good terms. He returned as an MD of one of our companies. That's the thing that would happen. Those things happen all the time. This environment is very small. The business world is small. You need to ensure that you maintain good relationships and allow people to go, because they're not there just for you. They also have their own career plans and aspirations. Within the people that have left Honeywell Group over the last 50 years, we've had MDs of multinationals here in Nigeria. We've also had entrepreneurs that have started their own businesses that are multi-billion naira companies now. At the end of the day, Honeywell Group will always be part of their story, and we do not lose anything by them going away. So for you, when they go, don't get stressed. Let them go. Allow them to go. Wish them well, because you realize that these people will always have your company as part of their story. They'll be your ambassadors, they'll be your potential clients, they'll be your potential suppliers and potential partners. So when people go, don't see it as a corporate failing, see it as a potential for them to fly. Sometimes, as I remember listening to what Tara had said around even sometimes helping people to go, helping identify if they might have grown out of certain roles and responsibilities that they have within your organization, and you cannot necessarily give them the opportunity to fully express themselves. Actually help support them in that growth. And if your business gets to a stage now where it is able to accommodate them, do like what we did and enable them to come back where possible. Fifth thing that I think is important is be willing to make the hard decisions. There will always be hard decisions to make. I'll give you a few examples of what happened to us at Honeywell Group. We had to make some sacrifices when it came to COVID, and the leadership team made those sacrifices. We took the hit to help enable and ensure that our business continue to run. We delayed certain things that we could have done to ensure that none of our team members suffered. Another thing that is hard, and it can be hard sometimes, is sometimes people have to go. Sometimes people are no longer best fit for the role they're in. Sometimes they're not best fit for the organization. So sometimes we've had to make those hard decisions. But one thing that is important, and I would encourage you to do, is remember that you have a responsibility to your full organization. And while it might be difficult to make these hard decisions that might impact individuals, without an organization, nobody has a job and nobody has work. But it's so important that in making these decisions, you remain compassionate. Remember that people are people, and that you need to engage them from a place of compassion and in a way in which you would expect to be engaged when these hard decisions are being made. And key, human beings are driven by certain incentives. And one incentive is reward and recognition. So at Honeywell Group, we reward success and we also recognize success. We celebrate our people and we celebrate their success. We also reward with regards to things like bonus and sharing in our success. So for you, I remember Tara saying it earlier on, tell people when they're doing good. Don't only just tell them when they're doing good, celebrate them, tell others when your people are doing good. Some of my team are on this call today, and when they've done well, they hear about it. And then I will be on calls and will tell others how well they're doing. It is very important that you encourage people, because in encouraging them, they will also be encouraged to do more and to do better. But again, people are driven by certain things. So link their performance to their pay. If the organization does well, I will do well. So therefore, I need to work to ensure the organization does well. So that's something else that we do, and something else that I would encourage you to do. Find a way to link performance to pay. Create frameworks that ensure that performance is clearly linked to the pay and profit is shared where possible. And last, but by no means least, is listen, then act. So at Honeywell Group, we have an open door policy. People have access to the MD, have access to the chairman. I was saying to my intern a bit earlier, or I was saying to somebody that was an intern, but is now a full-time staff with us, I was remembering how much access she has to our leadership team. She has written documents for our chairman. She sees our chairman on the corridor. She has conversations with our MD. This close proximity to the leadership means that leadership are hearing what is being said and are able to change and adjust our approach. A number of things that we've done as an organization has been driven by feedback that we've gotten from people and the impact that our people have made and the things that our people have said. So as we listen and we're close to our staff, we are also willing to make adjustments. So the fact that we've been around 50 years is not because of one man, it's not because of two people, it's not because of three people. It's because of the 10,000 people that are currently with us and the thousands and thousands of more that have been with us, that have provided us with feedback and have helped us form and create the business that we have. So for you, please have very clear, open lines of communication. The people that are doing the job are the closest to the business and really do understand what's happening. So one of the things you need to realize is, and you're very lucky also in the size of your business, in the fact that you're as SMEs, you're MSMEs, you're able to make quicker decisions. So be willing to make those decisions, experiment, change, adjust, and if it doesn't work, change it again. But listen to people's ideas and experiment during this phase, because in listening and acting, you can actually create the kind of business that you want. So to summarize, really, keeping top talent now is hard. I know the difference, even in my approach and the way I think, from the way young people think nowadays. It's not an easy task. So you need to really think about who you are and be clear on what you are as a business, and create a workplace that people are attracted to and will want to be part of, and create an organization that people will want to be part of their story and they would want to be part of your story. And above all, you need to remember that you're custodians of an asset. These assets have been loaned to you. So you have a responsibility as leaders of a business to grow that asset. You have a responsibility to develop that asset. You have a responsibility to nurture that asset, but you also have a responsibility to know when to let the asset go. So what happens next? I was told to give you homework. I don't know if that was the case because nobody else has given you homework, but maybe I was a school teacher in my former life. So I'm going to give a bit of homework and just an assignment of things that I think you'd like to consider as business leaders and custodians of assets. Two things I would suggest that you do. First is to define, if you haven't done already, or revalidate your value proposition. So as a business leader, individually think through what your business is about. What is your mission? What is your vision? What are your core values? Then with your team, jointly refine, define, and revalidate that. And then develop a plan to communicate and reinforce that. And find a way to ensure that your value proposition and who you are is something that is reinforced in every element of the way you do business. It is rewarded. It is communicated. It is in the way you engage. It speaks to even the way you operate. It's in your operating policies. So if a core value for you is customer centricity, then you need to ensure that that is rewarded. You need to ensure that even in the way you talk to your clients or your customers, that is part of what is in your value proposition. The second thing I would encourage you to do is actually develop a talent development strategy. Engage the key talents in your organization to discuss their career goals and objectives. Take a keen interest in that. Align those objectives to corporate goals and create a plan that includes training, includes your the way you assess people and your yearly goals to support these goals, and then ensure accountability. So if these are the goals that are meant to be set, you reward people that meet those goals. You reward people that meet the goals with regards to not just from a monetary point of view, but also goals with regards to their own personal development. And once you do that, you are able to ensure that people feel like they are talent, people feel like they're an asset, and people feel like that people care about them, and you as a business leader really cares about the assets that is in your custody. So that's it from me. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Tomi, for the amazing presentation. It is indeed clear that talents are the key drivers for every successful business. So my charge to everyone here today is invest in your talent, invest in them, because they would ensure that your company outlives you and remains successful and relevant in this 21st century. I would also want to use this opportunity to let our attendees know that there's a Facebook page, there's a Facebook group that has been created for the purpose of this assignment. So the link has been constantly shared in the chat box. So please join the Facebook page so you can, we'll be posting the assignment again there, and you can also submit your assignments within a week, where we would end up having to grade and then give you individual feedbacks. So moving on to the next item on the agenda, I would be inviting Ms. Tara Durotoye again, who would be doing a summary and putting all these wonderful lessons together. Welcome, Tara.
Thank you very, very much. I overshot my time the last time. Apologies again. Thank you, everyone. Tomi, that was lovely. Mr. Fajimi, that was excellent. Thank you very, very much, and very insightful as well. Tomi, thank you for sharing that. I now have Honeywell as one of the companies that I can talk about. 50 years, whoa! Can we get a round of applause from everyone in the chat room? 50 years of a Nigerian company, and guess what? It was started, the inspiration was from a woman, Grandma Ghana, right? And I didn't know that, so I'm happy to hear, and I'm very, very pleased. 50 years is a long time, so thank you for sharing that as well. I think this is very important for us to take away, because a lot of the entrepreneurs here, you know, when I said, how bad do you feel when people leave? And you know it's a common thing, right? With entrepreneurs, they feel bad. And I think you are putting things in perspective to say, you know, these are assets, you are custodian of the assets, and you're not going to be custodian of the assets forever. And so therefore don't feel too emotional. So have that behind your mind. I think that's something that we should take, a lesson that we should take away with us. I think one of the things that Fajimi had talked about as regards financial goals, I hope that when I was speaking about mine, I was talking about budgeting, right? And he went ahead to talk about financial goals and saying, you know what, you as a business owner, you need to know and be able to share with your team. I thought that was very instructive to say, listen, this is how much you're earning today. If the business earns this is how much you'll be earning. That's, you know, I was talking about vision. I was talking about communication. I was talking about carrying your people along, being inclusive. This is another way to be inclusive, to say, and like he said, you know, a lot of entrepreneurs will say, well, I don't want people to know how much we're making because I don't want them to this or that, right? As an entrepreneur, I also had that challenge. But to be honest with you, I've had situations over the years where I've asked people randomly, how much do you think we're generating? And they were almost right, even if they didn't work in finance. So he was definitely correct when he said they kind of know, right? So no matter what, I know how much I'm generating from a salesperson. People talk a lot within the business. If I'm in sales, I know how much I'm generating. Somebody else knows how much they're generating. By the time they add all of them together, they can give an idea of how much the company is generating. So never think that people don't know, they actually do know. So yes, have an open door policy, as she said as well. So I don't want to take too much time. I think that the point has been made. I've shared mine. I think you earn a salary. If we're talking about financial goals here, please, all entrepreneurs that are here, pay yourself a salary. The business money is not your business. It's not your money, right? A portion of it is yours, and that is what you are earning as a salary. And it's another way of letting people know that you're a structured organization when you earn, not that when you go to the market, you take money from House of Tara and pay for shoe, right? And I was talking about how, one of the things I want to talk about was how one of the challenges I had was being able to convince the bankers that my business was a business that they could put money in. And for a long time, I couldn't get a loan, right? And one of the reasons why I couldn't get a loan, and a lot of entrepreneurs still suffer from that, is that there's no accountability. So Fajimi had talked about how that we don't have any P&L, we don't have, we're not able to, we don't have any management accounts. All these information are information that the bank will ask you. If the minute you don't have it, the bank knows that you're not serious. So if I now give you an investment, I give you some money, a loan, I know you can't pay it back. So what's the point? They may not tell you that, but that's what the reality is. So making sure that you have those records being kept is very, very important. And I didn't share, I wanted to tell a story about that, but I think the next session that we do, I'll share that story about how I went to the bank to apply for a loan and what happened when I was not given the loan, right? And then the first time I received the loan, what happened when I received the loan? These are things that we have to learn as entrepreneurs and makes things better. So this is 50 years of Honeywell, 20 years of House of Tara, combined 70 years, more established professional company that started with one woman, and then House of Tara is in our own transition. I think it was perfect that he brought these two brands. And what are we basically saying? We didn't bring an international company here. When I say international, I didn't bring a company that's an Oyibo company. It's a company that was founded by a Nigerian, just to let you know that it is possible, right? And that you can transition. And I'm in that transition. They have already gone through that transition. I'm looking forward to you being in that transition as well and building for the long term. She said 10,000 employees, and Nigeria needs it. Nigeria needs for us to build businesses where people can be employed. Lagos State needs it. So let's put in the work, manage our finances properly, invest in the people because they're also an asset. And tomorrow we can look back at our businesses and say 30 years down the line, I applied some of the lessons I learned from the LSCTF masterclass. And today I can say my business is a medium scale business going on to becoming a large scale business. So thank you everyone. And Taiwo, thank you for having me. Tomi, thank you for being here, and Biola.
Thank you, Tara. Drums rolling. Now it's time for our favorite section, which is the Q&A. Okay, I'm sure our facilitators are ready to answer all of our various questions. Some are directed at a particular facilitator, while others are general. Okay, I will start with the first question. I think this is directed to Tara. How do you employ a staff when revenues in your business are not consistent? Knowing that the salaries have to be consistent and you need more time to look for more generating avenues.
So there are two ways to look at it. In my own case, I didn't, when I did employ, because the business couldn't afford to pay, I negotiated on commissions. So it was more of, this is what we can afford now. And yes, again, it's still about how you communicate. You know, I always like to tell stories around a man marries a wife, he's earning very little. The girl goes ahead and marries him. Why? Because she believes in the future, right? And it's the future that he has sold to her. So this ability to be able to, like I said earlier, communicate, to say, this is where we are right now. This is where we're planning to be. And I think Biola also talked about it. This is what we're doing now. This is the business that's generating whatever. These are the key drivers for our business, and we have the opportunity of doing more from these key drivers. I think Biola was the one who talks about key drivers, identifying what your key drivers are. If you know, you can communicate that key driver to whoever it is that you're employing for now. Another way to look at it is to say, until my revenue is stable, I wouldn't employ, right? And I know how much I'm generating on a regular basis, I wouldn't employ. Or I will employ only from a ad hoc standpoint. That's my advice.
Okay, thank you so much, Tara. I want to believe Stanley, no, rather, I want to believe Treasure, your question has been answered. Moving on to the next question. This is for Mr. Biola. How can an entrepreneur improve their financial knowledge if they don't have an accounting or financial background?
All right, thank you. Just to add the question Tara answered, just to add one other little thing to it. I think one of the things entrepreneurs should also cultivate is the habit of saving for the future. The risk as one-man business is to always want to earn and spend everything. You must be deliberate about keeping part of your money for the future, saving it and ensure that there is reserve. That's why companies don't pay out all their earnings as dividends. They must keep a part. That's very important. So coming to how to improve financial knowledge, as an entrepreneur, one thing you must tell yourself is you need to understand finance. No matter whether you like it or not, whether you're an engineer, whatever you are, is the art of business. After all is done, that is what shows what you have done. That's like, it's just like a student that said he doesn't understand how to calculate CGPA and you are in university. They don't teach CGPA, CGPA. Okay, I think they teach, but it's not a course. But you need to deliberate about understanding. So you must go for the knowledge, which is one of such sessions is what we just had. And you must be deliberate. We teach courses around finance for non-finance managers. And once you are a CEO kind of personnel, you need to attend it. It's just like me saying, because I'm an accountant, I didn't study marketing, I don't understand marketing, I will fail. So the same way, you need to look for finance knowledge, attend trainings on finance for non-finance manager. You are not going to be an accountant like me, but you'll be able to understand what your accountant is doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Biola. So we have your answer here. They said, for you to gain more knowledge, you need to attend more sessions on financial related topics to improve your knowledge and your skills in that area, even without your accounting or finance background. The next question is also for Mr. Biola. For a company that just commenced operations this month, what is the best time to do a financial forecast?
The answer is now. Financial forecast, you can even prepare before you start. In fact, you need to prepare before you start. As you begin to nurse the idea of starting that business, do a small forecast. It will help you in convincing yourself whether you think it can work or not. By the time you are putting the numbers together, if you see that, hey, this number is not going to make sense, then you know that you need to think your strategy. So the answer is now, if it has not been done.
Okay, we've heard that from Mr. Biola. Moving on to our next question. These are questions for Tomi. How much should the business owner be involved in recruitment with little or no input from HR, especially on salaries and promotion?
Thanks, Taiwo. I think something Tara said, I think is quite instructive around structure. And when she spoke about the fact that one of the challenges a lot of people had was around the unpredictability of her business when it first started. And that was why people were not comfortable with necessarily coming and staying. So when you have a business that has structure and there's clarity on hiring practices, clarity on practices, there's clarity on salaries and things like that, and it helps you attract the right people. It also helps with the people that are there stay. So if you now find out that actually it is this one-man business, that it is Tomi that can say that she's going to hire Taiwo, and it's Tomi that can say she's going to hire Tara, it actually fire Tara, it becomes very unpredictable, and it doesn't make people comfortable, and it doesn't encourage people to come into the business, and doesn't encourage people to stay. So what I would say is the business owner, and it really does depend on the size of the business at the end of the day. If there are three of you, you're probably both the CEO and the HR person, but you should actually create structures in place that ensure that there's clarity on, and you create structures and you create policies and processes in place to ensure there's clarity on what the roles and responsibilities are, what the boundaries of decision-making are. Because if you don't, people will not be comfortable. And human beings actually like structure. They prefer to work or to relate in a structured place. So if you can do that for them, it encourages people to stay and encourages people to be comfortable.
Thank you so much for that answer, Tomi. We also have another question for you. What about a staff that resigns immediately after being trained without notice? How do you handle such situation?
You say bye-bye and you let them go. You can't keep them. I don't understand. You cannot hold them to ransom. The thing is, at the end of the day, human beings are individuals. It is annoying if you've invested in somebody with training. It is not ideal when you've done all of that and they go. But that's a risk you face. And that's a risk you face when you invest in people. What you need to do is ensure that you, as much as possible, pick the right people from the get-go. Pick people that you feel have alignment, value alignment, and pick people that you feel would want to stay the course, and also make that course something that is attractive for them. Encourage them, that is something that they would want to stay and be part of. Then it's a place where they would want to be part of the story. But this will always happen. You will always have people that will leave. And you just need to realize that that is the risk you face when you're doing business. But you just need to ensure you do the right things with regards to making it an attractive workplace, with regards to doing your bit. Also noting that person that has left, and I don't know if you remember from my presentation, the employment space is a very small space. And, people should also realize that in the decisions they make, it impacts on their own future career and their future career prospects. So they might go, but it might not speak very well of them. So you just need to do what you need to do as a company, as an organization, and let them go if they want to go.
Thank you for that. Part B to that question is, should there be a bond? Should there be a bond for all staff or some specific staff to avoid this kind of incidents?
I personally don't believe in bonds. Again, and that also speaks to the presentation I just gave. People are on loan to you. They're not chattel. They're not slaves. They let them go if they want to go. The way I see employees and work is that we all we have is the time we have with them. We invest in them, and we hope for the best for them, and we let them go. But these people on this call, I don't know if he's still here. There's somebody that worked with me before. I didn't even know he knew about this, and he's here. That for me is a testament to me as a boss, as an investor in people, and as somebody that was a custodian of a treasure, of something that was valuable. That's all you can do. Putting a bond on somebody, I think, diminishes their value. And I also think it also diminishes your value as an organization and your ability to be able to keep them.
Wow, thank you. So this is a new perspective, everyone. Now it's your choice to decide, do you really need it or not? Or do you make your company very attractive that they would even want to live in the first place?
And even
So
if they,
moving on.
sorry, darling, let me just add. And even if they want to leave, and this can happen, depending on how vested they are to your business, they are more likely not to do that. You'd have the one-offs, but there are more people who will feel like it's the wrong thing to do and feel like, you know what, I need to give back. I need to train people more. And if they have to go, they feel bad for doing so because of reasons. So for me, I think that the investment that should be made is making the investment in people's hearts, so that they are committed, as opposed to feeling like you need to tie them to it. It's the same thing, my views about internal audits. I feel like internal audits should not be, chasing people with mopo. I hate it when they call internal audit mopo, right? I say in House of Society, that's not what we want to get people to do the right thing. We're not trying to set our people up to fail. We want to set them up to succeed. So that's what we primarily do with internal audits. So I think there's a perspective change. If you yourself are confident in how you invested in people, when they go and you've trained them, you let them go and you know that investment was not just in them, but it was also in Nigeria as a country, because the person is better now that they've left. They can give better to the society that we are in. And I always say this: you may not reap where you sow, but you always reap what you sow. You may not always reap where you sow, but you always reap.
Wow, thank you. Where you sow. Thank you for that added perspective, Tara. I have another question for you, Tara. Considering the volatility of Nigerian market, how can one identify target market and positively penetrate it as an SME? How can you identify a target market and positively penetrate into it as an SME?
I think first of all is going to the passion that you have. Where does your passion lie? What problem do you want to solve? And if you're thinking first of all about the problem you want to solve, there's something in the education space. I'm noticing that they're not teaching enough. People are not teaching maths well, for example. And then you ask yourself, okay, this is the solution I'm bringing. Where do I find students who want to learn maths, who are struggling with maths? I will find them with mothers who know their children's results, or fathers who know their children's results. And that can be your target market, to identify fathers. Where do I find fathers? In the workplace, in church communities, in meal programs. If I'm trying to solve a problem, it's like, women are looking for a place to feel pampered, and they want to look beautiful and feel they want to improve their self-esteem. And I think there's something I can do about it by providing a new hair that women can use that it looks as natural as possible, right? How much is it? How much it's going to cost me per piece? It's going to cost me 10,000 naira, 15,000 naira. Where are the women who are fashion forward? Where are women who like to look beautiful? Where can I find them? And where can I find them? Is it online? Is it, do I need to create a Facebook page and advertise to those particular women? So there are many things, but you first of all have to know what you're passionate about, number one. Number two, what the solution that you have that you want to prefer. And lastly, this solution should now determine who you should be targeting and how to target them.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you for that response, Tara. I have a couple of questions for Mr. Fajimi. The next set of questions goes, what are the key drivers of a business? That's number one. Then what are other parameters to be considered in drawing financial plan and forecast as an SME? Then how can you advise a small business owner to raise funds as a startup or to increase market coverage?
Okay. All right. Thank you. So when you talk about key driver of a business, they are actually the key determinant of the success of that business. Each business has key things that drives it, and you need to understand it as part of the understanding of the business you are going into. Because if you don't understand it, you can be focusing your attention on the wrong thing. So you must know key driver of that business. Okay. Each industry has some peculiarity that we need to understand as an entrepreneur. The second point, which are parameters to be considered in drawing financial plan and forecast, are the parameters to be considered will vary from industry to industry. But again, the key things, like I said, the key drivers are key factors you must always be considered. They must not be left out. I gave us the instance of a bread of a bakery. I look at bakery and say, okay, what are the key things that drive a bakery business? Maybe it's the quality of the oven, the kind of oven you have, or the capacity of your oven. You need to know. As a run accounting firm, key things for you, how many clients you're able to win, and the quality of your work, critical. So you need to know what drives the business when you are preparing the financial plan and forecast. And it varies from industry to industry. So I cannot tell you it's I cannot tell you just sales. We need to know what drives your industry. How can you advise a small business owner to raise funds as part of setup or increase market coverage? Well, today there are several opportunities really in terms of people being able to raise funds. And I'm sure LSCTF supports small businesses in a lot of ways. And once we ask LSCTF, it's even getting people that will meet those very minimal conditions. You cannot produce management account, or you are running a business, no record to show for the business. You are still using your personal account to run the business. You have not started business. Your business doesn't have a name. No matter how much you are turning over, you have not incorporated the business. You have not started the business. So if we're able to put together those basic things, there are so many basic funds, especially for the small amounts. We're not talking about the kind of money that Honeywell or us or Tara would need. That's not what we're talking about. But the basic money to start, I need 500,000 naira, I need 300,000 to start that small business. I'm sure LSCTF can provide a lot of support in that regard, but we must be able to package the idea, put together the business in a way that it is investable, in a bankable manner. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fajimi. I have two more questions for Tara and then one question for Tommy before we round off this session. The first question says, as an entrepreneur running your business all by yourself, how do you know how much salary to pay yourself? And then the second question says, what about a staff that resigns immediately after being trained without notice? That question has been answered. The first question. So let's answer the first question. As an entrepreneur running your business by yourself, how do you know how much salary to pay yourself?
So allow Mr. Fajimi to answer that.
Okay, thank you. So as an entrepreneur, like it's very important, you have to be on salary. Don't just be taking your personal spending into the business. That's wrong. It's a very basic concept they teach us in accounting, entry concept. They are separate from the business. The amount you will earn, you need to consider the survival of the business first, and what can the business afford. And if you are a startup, your business is generating 500,000. Obviously, you cannot earn 500,000. You cannot. You at the end of the day, you make 500,000, and you look at your financial plan, what you want to be, who you want to be in 5 years' time. Based on that, determine the minimal amount you can take out of that business. Remember, if you are an entrepreneur, you are long-term focused. So it's not time, you are a startup, it's not time to say, I want to quickly start. You are starting up a business, you are building a house in a village. So you need money, you need to be earning salary to be able to build a house in the village. It doesn't work that way. You have two major things you are doing at the same time. Give the business time to stabilize. So take minimal things that the business can afford and that you can use to survive life, to do those basic things. When the business stabilizes, you'll be able to earn more and you increase your salary as the business grows. So you just need to consider those factors to determine what you will take. But don't earn more than what you make. So there's no fixed salary. Based on how your business is performing, you can now give yourself a salary.
I'd also add that you should first of all, you also know what your expenses are, your personal expenses are. The most important expenses that you do on a monthly basis. Know what that expense is, and use that also to determine. I know that there's some people who give their parents money, for example, every month. and you're working somewhere, you want to shift and you want to go and start your own business, you have to ask yourself, will I continue to be able to give my grandmother money if I do this? So these are some of the factors that you also have to consider. This conversation about training and people going, you see, there's a fundamental mindset block that I'm seeing. Entrepreneurs, people will work for you. They will show you a side that you show them. Let's be frank, okay? Now, I have been in business for 20-something years. I don't have situations any longer where people just go. Even if it happens, it's far between, like it's almost non-existent, right? You will have those, but you have to ask yourself, are you a caring boss? Have you shown your people care? What happens is that human beings think. The person is thinking, sometimes they want to punish you for how you've treated them by that action. And sometimes they want to reward you by how you have treated them. I was speaking to a mentee of mine who's worked in the same organization for a very long time. He wants to leave, and the place where he wants to go to, they're asking him to come in 1 month. And he said, I can't leave here without giving 3 months notice. The man that owns the business does not know that this guy is saying this to me, right? He's saying this to me, this is a personal conversation. What I'm seeing is, I am so vested in this company that I cannot leave just like that. The question is, what investment have you made in your people? When people want to resign in House of Tara, you can tell that it's a difficult decision, and you need to get to that place where it is a difficult decision for people to leave because they love being there. So they are leaving because they have to leave the country. Somebody's husband, somebody's wife has a job and they need to move to another city, or they want to move because they've gotten married, whatever the reason, but they feel, ask yourself, am I doing enough for the people to feel, let's just make it plain, do unto others as you want them to do unto you. Ask yourself this question. Every employee that is working with me, am I treating them the way I would like to be treated? Or this is how I would like to be treated if I was working with House of Tara. Write it down. Treat people that way. If somebody leaves without giving you notice, like I said before, you don't always reap where you sow, but you will reap what you sow. I had experience where I train, and I always train. I send people to South Africa. The girl came back from South Africa and left, right? And left badly. But some years after, she came to me to apologize because she knew that what she did was wrong. Then you have those kind of situations. But long and short, write a list of things. If I was working in House of Tara, this is like how I would like to be treated. And treat your people that way. And if they go without notice and you train them and they don't train, it's okay. Let them go. They're not supposed to be in your organization. Let them make way for the right people who will enjoy the benefit of your great hearts to come in. Thank you. I hope that settles it. If not, we'll continue this next session.
That settles it. That surely does settle it. Thank you so much, Tara. I have one final question for Tomi. Someone said, you mentioned creating a workplace that people are attracted to. Please give examples of what one can do to make his or her business an attractive workplace environment.
Thanks, Taiwo. So there are a number of things, and I shared a few things already through the presentation. But what Tara said, I think, is very instructive. Create a workplace you would want to work in. Create an environment that you think that people would not want to leave very easily or very quickly. So some things is very simple. Care about people the way you expect to be cared about. My team knows, and I'm speaking both as an individual and also as an organization, my people know that I care about not just their personal welfare and the value they bring to the organization, but also where they're going. So the people that you work with, you're asking them the questions of, okay, so this is what you want to do. okay, how do you achieve it? What are the things that you're doing to achieve that? So that's one thing around creating a workplace that works. Another thing is people are also driven by what their personal needs are, the Maslow, whatever of needs.
Yes.
Pay them well. It's not always easy, and it's always going to be a balance, but pay them well where you can, pay them as well as you possibly can. When it also celebrates, we talked about reward and recognition, celebrate successes, celebrate people, make sure people feel like they want to be here, they want to come to work. It's already hard coming into the office. Some people it takes 3 hours to come into some of our offices. This is Lagos. So try and make this place as comfortable and convenient as possible. We created a creche here in the office because we had a number of nursing mothers. These are small things, but it makes a difference to people. So you need to just basically put yourself in the shoes of your employees and try and figure out what the things you need to do to make their life as comfortable as possible. The other thing is they're actually in the office more than they're at home. So make the office as comfortable as possible. It's the reality of what it is. Make the physical office as comfortable as possible. Make the work as enjoyable as possible. But we're still working, so it will still always be work, but make it as comfortable and as convenient as possible.
I'd like to add to what Tomi has said in terms of, as we go along as entrepreneurs, let's have it behind our minds that, salary is, many of you are still at a scale where you can't afford to pay a lot, right? But guess what? I have found that people like money, but they don't like money as much as we think they do. The most important thing, let the salary be consistent. Let it come on time, okay? You may not be able to pay a lot, but there are other things you can do. If there are 10 people, know what their husbands are doing. What does your husband do? How many children do you have? What's the name of, if I ask, what's the name of your staff's child? Will you know? Do you know their birthday? Right? If somebody has done well, what you have to do is get your best friend to call one of your staff to say, I heard that you'll be surprised. Did it cost you any money? No, you're still going to have the chat with your friend. Send her a WhatsApp message, Kemi, please help me call this person on her birthday. Sing for her. Hello, I'm calling you. I heard that it's your birthday today. These are little things that make people feel loved and appreciated. And that's why this power of teaching people soft skills, it's so important. And you may not be able to pay big salary, and I was there. But guess what? I know situations where a staff has had a crisis, a child died, a man, his child died in Abuja. And 3 a.m. he called my phone. Am I the doctor? Am I the mortuary? He asked himself, I need to call someone. My child just died. And it is his boss he called. If you think about it, ask yourself, do your people feel connected enough with you? I've had situations where people have had, they're pregnant, they start bleeding, they are wondering whether they're having their babies are aborting, and they pick up the phone and they call me. I've had situations where somebody is going into labor and she's going into the theater, and her mother-in-law picks up the phone and calls me, says, so and so person is your staff. She said I should call you to pray that she's going into labor. Why? It's not money. That one has nothing to do with how much she's earning. Is that I know somebody who cares enough, who will either pray or will give advice or will commit. Make that investment in people. Make that investment in people. It may not be for today, it's for tomorrow.
Thank you, Tara. How you treat people, how you make them feel, even while working with you, goes a long way. And it determines if they want to stay and run that race with you in the long term, or they would leave. Thank you all so much for the different perspectives, for the answers to all the various questions. I have a final task before we round off. It's a very simple poll. It's a survey for our attendees. I will be launching the survey now. It would not take you up to 5 minutes to just put in your answer. It would help us to serve you better and know the necessary topics we should be treating next. So I would implore everyone to just take the next couple of minutes to answer the survey. I'm sure you can see it on your screen now.
People start dropping off at this point. Please don't drop off. Reward us for our time by filling this form. Please, thank you. Don't drop off. Just say thank you, Tara. and tap the extremely useful. Thank you.
We need people to respond. We don't have anyone responding yet. Okay, we're seeing responses. Thank you. It's less than 5 minutes. It's a very simple survey, so we can know where to treat next time.
Thank you. Yes, fantastic. It's going up. The numbers are going up. 8. Oh, fantastic. 16. Who is not tapping? Please tap quickly, quickly. Aha, 20. Fantastic. Wonderful. We are moving on. I'm moving on to the permanent sites now. Excellent. Thank you, guys. Don't drop off. Oh. Just say thank you. Thank you. Aha. Wonderful. This is feedback. I was talking about appraisals, that, continuous assessment. Remember, it's important for people to know when they're doing well. If they're not doing well, let them know so that they can adjust. So that when we're doing these sessions next time, I will do better and not take too much time.
So let's keep clicking. Please keep clicking.
Thank you. Wonderful. Excellent. Okay. We're at 54%. I need more people. Oh, thank you guys for responding. Keep responding. Don't drop. Oh, I need somebody else.
Don't stop.
Okay, good. Oh, thank you. You are a good bunch. Oh, grateful. Thank you. Keep going. Let's get to 150.
Yes.
Move it.
Just a click away.
Just keep clicking. Please. We're not at 150 yet. Keep it coming. Appraisal, please appraise us. Appraisal.
132. Please keep clicking. We're almost there. A few more questions.
Oh, this is good. Oh, thank you guys. I appreciate. We've been sitting down for how many hours now? Please reward us. Fine. Reward us for our internet.
Yes, so that we can do more.
Yes. We'll be encouraged.
I think we're stuck. Okay, yeah. Keep going. We're almost at 150. Keep going. Thank you.
Let's go. Click. And here we go. We still need more people. If your friend is on the call, please send a message to her. Ask her, have you filled this poll? Extremely useful. Only 91.
Are we tired of clicking? Let's finish this. So people, please click away. We have 144. Please invite your friends to click. It's just 7 questions, actually. 7 questions, less than 5 minutes.
Only 7.
We still need 5 more people. Yes. Okay, let's not take much of anyone's time anymore. I think our people are tired of clicking. Okay, we're almost there. 147. Let's go.
3 more people.
We need 3 more people.
Just 3 more people. Maybe somebody is still feeling. 2 more people. 2.
1 more. Yay! We are exceeding the numbers. Thank you. Can we close the poll?
Can we close the poll? Is somebody saying no? Don't close the poll yet. I'm still filling my form. Is anybody saying that? Okay.
Numbers are still going up.
Okay, wonderful.
Okay.
This is very good. Oh, I'm grateful to all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you all so much. I would be ending the poll so we don't waste much of your time again, so we don't overshoot the timing for the session. Thank you all so much for participating in the poll, and we want to say a big thank you to our amazing facilitators. We appreciate the time, the commitment, and the lessons, the knowledge we've gotten from this session. I'm sure everyone would apply it in one way or the other into their business. And yeah, it's a prayer that every business succeeds in Lagos State. And with these different opportunities, capacity building trainings, we hope to equip more business owners to create empires that would actually outlive them. So without wasting much of your time again, I would want to round up by saying, feel free to join us on our social media handles. You would get connected, you would get more information about our various programs. We have upcoming webinar sessions. We have upcoming webinar sessions within the next couple of weeks. August 31st, we have a session on business automation, automating your business process. And then on the 8th of September, we have another session on positioning your business for funding. I'm sure this is where everyone wants to hear about. When you hear funding, I want loans, I want grants. So I'm sure you should take advantage of this opportunity. Once again, thank you all for staying through. To the attendees that waited to the very end, thank you. For those that joined in between, thank you so much. To our amazing facilitators, thank you so much. We appreciate. We wish everyone a wonderful rest of the day. Thank you and good day. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.